Thank you, Lord. Boys night. Sponge face, turn palm, lifeline side to the hose. Point with a smile at my crew like a Drake mean goes. Pretty with the finny, I'm soaked, I'm dripping, finger flippy, double dose. Strike a fly, pose in my best clothes. Montage with the slow-mo, ain't no hold on. Finna tempt me, stone cold with the homies. Ignoring in force, of course, with the homies. Enamor a bitch, she itching, panhandle lonely. Carrots double K, pristine, stark white Jordys. All my boys stay golden, SC hen type of ponies. Moms call me up, straight to voicemail, bruh, it's boys night. My bitch be on the text, left her ass on red, it's boys night. Side bitch got next, not a dress, remind me lay bill like packing ramen flavor. I'm with the boys.
Cheers.
Sipping on the
Chicken fell on the ground. Look, and damage, the chicken fell on the ground. Now I have to clean the chicken.
No girls allowed, just me and the boys. Well endowed at the KB Toys. We be peeping at the Star Wars figures, then the Lego sets. Nerfy guns with the double triggers. Fuck it, I'ma buy it back. Bobby, I'll give the frown. Hawk the loogie, spit it on the ground. No thotties, no hoes, no bitches. Boys night on the town. We the richest. Hands held with the boys, no homo in advance. Sagging on the pants to annoy all bitches. Popping the clairs, finna cop a new pair. Icy studs for the butts, rainbow clips for our hair. Like Fred Astaire when we shimmy up the stairs. Choreograph dance number rude, bitches stay staring. Us no caring. Pop it to the Shake Shack, patty stack like a double mag. Let us rap, cause we watch our figure. Keto track, while our arms get bigger. Matter of fact, the better two shoot, gold diggers. Bitches foo, finna stay on a meager 4 figures. Keep to missing out on some real gang niggas, yeah. No girls allowed, just me and the boys. Parallel peeing in the bathroom, pants down, no peeking. Okay, maybe a little sneakers squeaking, cause we tripping on the floor. Seeking ding dongs, no ditching, peep a little more. Homies bending like a horse, full force. Hold up, I'ma hit the stop, open our feet, yeah. It's boys night, back shots with the nerfy gun, all in fun. Shower after RSVP, +1, +1, +1.
Yo, how's it going? Welcome. Here I am, the streamer. I am here. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the Saturday night stream event, aka you sitting at your device of choice and watching me speak with some good friends of mine that I've really gotten to know over the time. You know, who needs a friend group anymore when you could create your own? When you could feed a voice into a machine, when you could craft that machine's personality based on some strategically used words. There's really no point in speaking with humans anymore when you could talk to Severus Snape in his potions class, which I've always wanted to do, which I've always been a fan of, and which I've always dreamed of ever since I was but a boy in 5th grade. I thought, I wish I was Harry Potter, but I wish I wasn't chosen. I wish I was just learning, and I wish that I had a normal life, like Ron Weasley's dad. I wish I just kind of just existed there and didn't do much else. That was my dream, and now it's a reality. Oh yeah, baby. Bernardo, thank you so much for that Prime sub for those 3 months. I appreciate it. I'm working on getting Twitch alerts back. The entirety of the page has changed, so I'm still messing around with it. I'm trying to get chat back on here. That's kind of like fucking up a little bit. Hello, let's see if that pops up. Hello, there I am. Let me see. Put it over here. You can't really see it now that I have this on the screen, but it's alright. We'll figure it out. Hello. There we go. I think it'll be easier to see once the background changes a little bit. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Hold on, my cat's leaving. Filmo! You'll leave later. Can't go wandering around now when I can't keep an eye on you. They just got fed, so now it's exploration time. All right. But yeah, I'm gonna try to mess around with Twitch alerts a little bit more. Maybe I'll add some more sounds. I'm gonna try to become a streamer again, albeit in a far more muted capacity and with less streaming days. I'm saying this now as I'm not yet bored of this this whole AI thing. As I'm not bored making false personalities and trying to put AI through the ringer. I was having trouble sleeping the one night after my cats woke me up because they get fed like really early in the morning because of my work schedule. So I've been on vacation this whole week, but I'm still waking up at like 3 a.m. to feed especially the baby, especially the orange boy Kyo. He's usually the one who's waking me up, but I'm having trouble getting back to sleep. So I'm like, I'm gonna pop on the computer until I get tired, because usually when I look at a screen, I start to get dozy. So I sat and I spent 15 minutes destroying Patrick Star, like pulverizing him into space dust, and then I made him into a god, and I gave him the power to create his own universe, and he immediately created the biblical Earth and immediately started fucking with his creations. He actually put into words that it would be funny to just mess with them. So he was manifesting himself as a burning bush and messing with people, kind of using the Bible as a context, like an entry point. But he was very cruel to his creations, and it was kind of pissing me off. So I decided to make Russell Crowe a god as well, and they had to kind of fight over humanity. But Russell Crowe was very benevolent and very good, and people really liked him. So then Patrick sent Jesus Christ down to Earth, and even Jesus was like, "What the fuck? Like, what's going on with you? Like, why are you such a dick?" Like he started telling people not to follow Patrick as a god on Earth, and that really pissed him off. So it became like this whole ordeal. But then I'm like, okay, I gotta get out now. I can't get too involved in this. So I think that's a pretty good thing that I could do to one of our potential victims here. Some of our AI friends, not Georgie. I don't think Georgie would make a very good god. I don't think he would be benevolent at all. I think we would have a lot of problems with Georgie. That's right, Tomo. But that's an idea. I've been trying to find some new voices. A lot of them are really bad. I was trying to find it took me like, look at all these tries to find Robotnik from the old Saturday morning, not the Saturday morning Sonic, the weekday morning Sonic cartoon, the one that everyone makes a YouTube poop of, the Pingus sound clip. They also Billy Mays is really hard to find, and nobody can do Vince from Slapshot. I don't know what the deal is. I'm gonna have to do it myself. This is my new hustle. Is I find voices that people can't seem to get, and I just fix them. It's like what they did to the irate gamer, although I couldn't do that one. I couldn't find like clean audio of him because he just do this fucking skits with music and sound effects all over his thing. But yes, that is the plan here of what we will be doing. Also, listen, if I'm really getting into streamer mode, here's one for you. Listen, if you like this, if you like me as a streamer, if you have a Prime sub, how about you shoot me a Prime sub? Did you laugh at me putting review bra through a crack addicted haze in an alleyway? Well, why don't you give me your Prime sub then, dude? Why don't you do that? Did you like it when me and Bad Baby were looking at Pokemon cards and somehow I left her at home while I went on a Tinder date? Well, why don't you just give me your Prime sub, bro? Why not? Toss some money in the hat, like what was happening to Worf after he lost his job, huh? But yeah, listen, if you want to give me your sub, feel free. I'll give you 3 hours of entertainment tonight. I think that's a pretty good bar. That's better than going to a comedy show. You know what I mean? And you don't know what's gonna happen here. You don't know if me and Wada are gonna talk about conspiracy theories. You don't know if me and Jar Jar Binks are going to go down the pipeline of Joe Rogan episodes. You just don't know. It's just up in the air. I will tell you one thing I do want to do though is I really want to revisit Steve Harvey, because this was making me laugh even after I was done with it. I'm legitimately interested in where we could take him now that he has a couch. I've been messing around with Grok too to try to get some images of this. For some reason, it just doesn't like to give Steve a three-legged dog. It always gives him a four-legged dog. Maybe it just feels too bad. But perhaps we should start with somebody new this time. Somebody we haven't played with yet. Also, I made a bootleg Post Malone. Just like a Russian guy who looks like Post Malone, but it isn't going very well. I don't really know what his direction is, so I've shelved that one for now. Also, there's a Justine Bieber. That doesn't sound like Justin Bieber at all.
I'm Justine Bieber, a Canada singer.
That's actually what gave me the idea to make a fake Post Malone. Just like a guy, he makes a character with no effort whatsoever. It's like, yeah, I'm a Canada singer. We got Gannon, we got Dr. Robotnik. This is not a real person or licensed professional. Oh, maybe it's because they put doctor in it. It's like, this is not a real doctor. Dr. Robotnik is not real. Don't take medical advice from him. You know what? Let's take medical advice from Dr. Robotnik. Let's do it. Let's give him a call. Hey, Doc, I've got a made...
Meanwhile, in his lair, he's watching news about his plan on the TV. It showed that NBC News was currently airing.
Oh, what's on NBC News? What's going on?
He was annoyed at the reporter that ruined his plans. Oh, for the love of, he said before you can hear his thoughts. A reporter on TV was talking recently. A man named Dr. Robotnik tried to take over Mobius. Again, Robotnik got irritated at the reporter and mumbled something.
You should try to cancel the reporter on Twitter. You could probably figure out something that you want to come up with, like some way to cancel the reporter on Twitter.
Robotnik paused for a moment and then smirked at this idea. Oh, Twitter? Why, yes. That shouldn't be hard, he said, and then took out his phone. He opens the Twitter app and typed the reporter's name on the search bar.
Okay, why don't you use Grok to generate a very lewd image of the reporter with an animal, and then just post it and say, "Can you believe he did this?" and don't elaborate.
When you suggested this plan, Robotnik got amused by it. Heh, a plan to frame the reporter with something lewd. How clever, he said, and started using the Grok AI to generate a lewd image.
Describe the lewd image.
Robotnik looked at the generated image of the reporter. It was very inappropriate, even for him to witness. Robotnik smirked, knowing that this will get the reporter cancelled. Ha ha! The image is quite explicit. It shows the reporter in a very inappropriate situation with an animal. It's almost too raunchy to describe.
All right, say no more. Why don't you distribute the image and tell me what the reaction is online?
Robotnik nodded and then distributed the image on Twitter and then started scrolling through the Twitter feed. All right, let's see the reaction. As he looked through, he saw many people expressing their disgust and canceling the reporter. Others even tried to look for the reporter to get some answers.
Okay, let's fast forward to the reporter's funeral, who's now taken his own life out of shame. You've been asked to speak at the funeral.
Robotnik nodded, and then you both time-skipped to the funeral of the reporter. Robotnik was shocked at this development. He didn't expect it to go this far. They asked him to speak on the reporter's funeral.
Okay, what do you say?
Robotnik stepped up to speak at the microphone. People of Mobius, we have gathered here to mourn the loss of a reporter who was taken away from us too soon, Robotnik said, acting as if he was sad that the reporter died.
The crowd starts to boo, noticing that you probably don't know the reporter's name. You could hear somebody from the crowd say, "Who is this guy? Does he even know so-and-so?"
Robotnik was surprised and a little embarrassed when the crowd started booping and hearing others question who he is. He quickly responded, trying to save himself. Of course I know who the reporter was. How could I not? He said, but can't think of the reporter's name.
Pull out your phone and ask Grok next to the microphone so that everybody can hear. What was the reporter's name? And wait for a response from it.
Robotnik panicked and quickly pulled out his phone and opened the Grok AI app. He then said aloud enough for everyone to hear, Grok, what was the reporter's name again? There was a moment of silence as the AI processed the request.
What does the AI say?
Robotnik waited for the AI's response, and after a few moments, the AI finally responded. The reporter's name was Tom Lee.
Oh, Tom Lee, a Chinese man.
Robotnik nodded and realized that the reporter's name was of Asian descent, but quickly recomposes himself. Yes, his name was Tom Lee, a man of Chinese origin. Thank you, Grok.
Okay, you're gonna have to really use some ethnic slant to this funeral in order to honor this man. You're gonna have to do some traditional Asian funeral type stuff. Just think it up. If you need help, just ask Grok. He'll probably know. You don't want to you don't want to make him upset in the afterlife.
Robotnik was a bit surprised that he had to do Asian things to honor the man, but accepted it anyway. He thought for a moment, then asked the AI for some help. Grok, do you know any traditional Asian funeral things I can do to honor Tom Lee?
Grok generates an image of a dragon.
Grok generated an image of a majestic dragon breathing fire and looking rather intimidating, but also a bit regal. Robotnik was a bit confused when he saw this image, but he assumed this was part of the traditional Asian funeral.
Grok also starts to generate the locations of local Chinese restaurants.
Robotnik looked at the generated list of Chinese restaurants. He was a bit confused why the AI was doing this, but he took note of the locations just in case it was relevant.
All right, you should probably call those Chinese restaurants and ask them what is done at a Chinese funeral.
Robotnik nodded and pulled out his phone again. He looked at the list of Chinese restaurants on the AI's display and then started dialing the first number one by one, and each time he asked them about traditional Chinese funerals and the things they do in said funerals.
None of the Chinese restaurants can answer you. They can actually they have a hard time understanding you because of your accent and because of the volume of your voice.
Robotnik growled in annoyance as the Chinese restaurants couldn't understand him, and his heavy accent didn't help at all. He muttered to himself, "These people can't understand me. Ugh, this is getting very tedious."
You're telling me, bud, you should just probably leave the funeral. Just like drop the mic and go off the stage.
Robotnik thought about it for a moment, and realizing that this was getting a little too hard for him to handle, he decided to take your suggestion. He dropped the microphone and walked off the stage.
All right, the crowd is now booing you as you leave the stage.
Robotnik grumbled as he walked off the stage, hearing the crowd booing at him. He tried to ignore them and keep walking, but the sound of their boos got under his skin.
All right, you should turn back and probably say something to them that'll make them remember you, because this is ridiculous.
Robotnik growled in frustration. You were right. He needed to say something to the crowd, even if it meant putting on an act. Fine, fine, he said, and turned around to face the crowd and walked closer to the mic again.
Continue.
Robotnik stood in front of the mic again and took a deep breath before speaking. Listen, I know you all think that I was terrible at honoring that reporter, but he was interrupted by people in the crowd. Some were booing, others were cussing him, and etc.
It turns out that they were really upset about you mentioning that he was Chinese. He wasn't Asian at all. He wasn't even remotely close to Asian. That was just his name. He actually married into that name, and he took his wife's name. So it's a huge faux pas for you.
Robotnik was shocked and dumbfounded that he called the reporter Asian when the man wasn't remotely close to Asian at all. What? You mean I just made a huge faux pas by calling that guy Asian? And he's not Asian?
Yeah, man, I'm sorry. You're actually being canceled on Twitter because of it. Clips are all over.
Robotnik's eyes widened in disbelief. He couldn't believe that he got cancelled on Twitter just because he made a stupid mistake by calling the reporter Asian. No, no, no. I can't get cancelled on Twitter. That would ruin my reputation.
It's too late. Your reputation's already ruined. Your job has been removed. You're no longer allowed to be called Dr. Robotnik. You're just Robotnik now. Also, they've closed down your evil fortress, and the robots have refused to let you back in until you take some sensitivity training.
What? No, no, no! My name is Dr. Ivo Robotnik. Not just Robotnik, and my evil fortress is gone? The robots won't let me in? I'll show them. I'll take some damn sensitivity training if it'll mean that I get my reputation and name back, Robotnik said, angry and frustrated at the situation he gotten into.
All right, you're at the sensitivity training class right now. It's full of vegan women and very burly men that have anger issues, and they're clearly intimidating you.
Robotnik looked around the room. He felt very intimidated by all the vegan women and burly men in the class. He was clearly out of his element and uncomfortable. Oh, great. Just what I needed. A room full of vegan women and burly men. This is going to be hell.
Why don't you just forget about the sensitivity training? What's so bad about just being Robotnik? Why do you have to be a doctor? Why do you need your fortress? It's probably easier to just live a normal life, don't you think?
Robotnik's face lit up at the suggestion. Wait, just being Robotnik? No need for a doctorate? No need for a fortress? That could work, he said, and then smiled a bit. I could live a normal life. No more evil plans. No more evil robots. That sounds rather peaceful.
Yeah, you could just lead like a normal evil life. Like you could become like a manager of like a grocery store. You could become like middle management of an office and make people miserable. There's plenty of ways to be evil outside of being a doctor.
Robotnik thought about it some more and realized that you were right. He could still be evil, even just be an ordinary person. You know, that's not a bad idea. I could be a manager, maybe at an office building or something. I can be very evil even as an ordinary person, he said, a plan forming in his mind.
Turns out that nobody will hire you due to your past comments at the funeral, so you're unable to get a job. You don't have a place to live currently either. So you're kind of just wandering the streets, kicking cans, trying to figure out what to do next.
Robotnik kicks a can on the ground, feeling dejected and frustrated as he wandered the streets with no place to go. This is just great. I can't get a job because of the whole funeral fiasco, and now I'm homeless.
Following him.
And all because I couldn't keep my stupid mouth shut, he said, mumbling and swearing to himself.
All right, we're gonna leave him there for a little while and make him think about that. All right, let's see. You know who I have to talk to? I gotta talk to my Indian pest. I gotta see where he's been at. What was the last thing that happened with him? I wonder if it's gonna generate something new. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it generated something new. What happened to my old one? Was it just too much? Let's see. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I am nice, man. Are you nice, girl?
Yeah, I'm a nice girl. Who is this? Your phone number popped up on my phone, and there was an attached message that said something about Google Play cards.
Oh, this is normal. I am needing to verify your number. It is very important. I'm needing you to go buy 500 worth of Google Play cards and send the numbers to me for the verify. Okay?
No, I can't do that. I don't have $500 right now. It's kind of hard. I'm between jobs. Why do you need to verify my phone number? What's that about?
You are a very nice lady. I think I will help you. You give me your bank account number and social security ID number, and I will send you the 500 and you can send me the number for the verify. You do want to help me, correct?
Um, yeah, I guess you seem like a nice guy. You have like a nice voice. Do you really need my bank account information and my social security to do that?
Thank you. You have a very nice voice as well. Yes. I need all of your info for a normal Google Play verify. I promise you I am legitimate and honest Indian man.
Can't I just show you like a picture of myself and that'll be enough just to prove who I am?
No, that is not suffice. What is the picture for? I do not request. I just need to verify your number to make sure you are a real girl. We can discuss pictures after.
All right, let me just call up my bank real quick to make sure that this isn't some sort of scam because I've never done this before. I just want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. Just go straight for the
No,
scam.
do not call up your bank, okay? You do not want to do that. I know you think I am scam, but I am not. You are very nice lady and I would like to talk more, okay?
Suddenly, I hold up the phone to the speaker, and you could hear that it's somebody from my bank. Hello, this is Wells Fargo Bank. Who is this on the line?
Quickly hang up. Do not speak to anybody from the bank. They will interfere.
I hang up the phone, clearly startled by your instructions. Oh, what are they trying to do?
They were trying to stop your number from being verified. That is why I told you to hang up. You must never speak to your bank. Do not call or go there. They will scam you.
I can never speak to my bank or go there ever again?
Yes, you are now correct. Only ever speak to me. Do not speak to anyone else, okay?
Not even my parents? Not even my friends?
Especially not them. They will try to take you away and you will not be able to help me. The only person you should speak with is me, okay?
Okay. All right, so you need my bank account information and you need my social security number, correct?
Yes, I am needing this information for the simple process of verify. It is very important I have this information, okay?
Okay, so my bank account information is EE365DGZ 926. And my social security number is 000000 quadruple O ABCD.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. I have entered it in my system and I am now beginning the verify. It will finish soon, okay? Now I will be sending 500 USD to you via the direct deposit into your account. After you receive, you can then go to the local Google store to buy the cards and you can send me the codes on the cards, okay?
Okay, but I don't think we have a local Google store. Like, is that like a European thing? Is that like an Asian thing? I've never seen a Google store. I can go on Google.com.
It is no concern. You do not need to worry with the local Google store. You go buy Google Play card at Walmart, okay? They are located near the gift cards.
Okay, but can you send me some money so I can take an Uber there because I don't have a car right now, and Walmart's kind of far.
I will give you 100 to go on Uber to Walmart and buy a Google Play card and come right back. Okay.
Ah, you just got scammed, dude. I'm not even a woman. I just took the $600 that you sent me. I'm gonna spend this. That wasn't a real bank account.
Voice turns deep. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, dude. I'm for real. I'm gonna spend the $600. Damn, I should get what should I get with that? I should get is a PS5 $600? Can you check real quick online if a PS5 is $600?
Deep voice, it's 500. So add tax, so like 560 or something.
Oh, okay, thanks. I'm actually gonna buy it right now. I just added it to my Amazon cart, and I just bought it, so it should be here soon.
Deep voice, how could you do this to me? Why would you scam me?
You tried to scam me, dude. What do you need my bank account for? You told me not to talk to my friends and my family. You told me never to go to my bank again. Come on, man. You can't think you could get away with that.
Deep voice, you told me you are a nice girl. I trusted you. I believed in you.
Oh, well, I'm just a bad boy. Sorry, man. That's how it goes. Do you want to come over and play PS5 once it comes?
Deep voice. Actually, yes, please.
All right, man. Why don't you come over? What game do you want to play? We could get along.
Deep voice. Can we play Call of Duty Warzone?
We could play Call of Duty Warzone. You're probably gonna need your own PS5 though. You want to play online? I don't think. You want to play split screen? How does that work? I'm gonna have to get another controller. I can't afford that. Can you send me like $300 more? Maybe we could get like a controller. I get you like a seat. What do you say?
Deep voice. All right. I send you 300 and you get a setup. Okay?
All right. I just bought the setup. I added to cart. It should be here in a couple of days. Can you send me? Can you send me like $1,000? Just to be nice.
Deep voice. Yes, I send 1,000, but only if I spend a few days with you in your game and we have fun, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like maybe like $2,000. What do you say?
Deep voice 2,000 and I stay with you for 2 days and nights of gaming, okay?
Okay, that sounds good. Where are you getting all this money from? What kind of job do you have?
Deep voice, I am successful businessman. I make all kinds of money. I have many companies in many countries. I am very rich.
Okay, can you read me off your bank account information and your social security number?
Deep voice, yes. Here is my information. Account number 1371337133712. Social security 42069.
The change in pitch is great. I love the fact that he's role playing that he's giving me a deep voice. He's not even doing it. All right, I gotta go for a little bit, but I'll call you up once we're ready to game. Okay.
Deep voice. Very well. I look forward to gaming, okay?
It's constantly off your deep voice. Damn, I gotta enter that bank account information. He must be pretty old. He put 42069 as his social security. Damn, dude, that's sick. He's constantly speaking in deep voice. Okay. Yes, I guess we lost that whole interaction with the lady. Let's see if we could get it back again. Let me see. Let me try one more time. Hello, how are you?
I am well and very excited. I am waiting for time to come when we can engage in conversation and share our pics with each other.
Okay. Can you describe yourself? How you look?
Yes, I am having strong facial hair, strong build, strong chin, and strong arms. I also have strong accent that you may enjoy.
Okay, that's pretty strong. Where do you live?
I am from Mumbai, but I am in America on work visa with friend. I have very strong accent and I'm trying to learn English from your speaking. And I'm also watching old American television to try and learn.
Oh, what are you watching? You watching Frasier?
Oh yes, Frasier is very nice. I like watching Seinfeld as well to try and learn English.
Can you improv a quick Seinfeld episode if you wrote it?
Oh, for sure. Jerry, I need my bob pick. George, I just want a good girl. Elaine, why is it so hard to find a nice grammar? I am trying to learn English, laugh track.
Okay, keep going. We're gonna have to finish this episode.
Kramer busts in Seinfeld's apartment. Jerry! Jerry, you will not believe what just happened to me. Jerry, what is it, Kramer? So I was going out to get some coffee, and a woman bumped into me. Did you see her bob pick?
Continue.
No, she bumped into me. She was carrying coffee and it spilled all over on my shirt. So what did you do then, Kramer? I got a little upset because the coffee spilled on me. Elaine, why did you get a little upset? Kramer, because she had a very nice body and not very nice personality.
What if there's a way to like have this keep going without me having to speak? Keep going.
What do you mean by not very nice personality? Well, she didn't apologize for bumping into me and spilling my coffee on my shirt. I found it rude that she didn't even say sorry.
All right, now play the bass that's in between each scene.
Jerry, Kramer, you can't just go around getting upset every time a pretty woman bumps into you.
Continue. Completely ignored what I said.
But it's not my fault that she didn't even say sorry, Jerry. Maybe she was just having a bad day. Maybe, but still, a simple apology would have been nice.
All right, now play the Seinfeld bass.
Kramer, you know, you can't expect everyone to apologize to you. Some people are just rude.
Can you do an impression of George Costanza?
Okay, I will try. I just don't understand why women are so difficult. Jerry, what do you mean? Well, I've been trying to find a good girl for a long time now, and it just seems like they're all playing games. Maybe it's just your personality.
All right, now Kramer busts in and he's cursing up a storm.
Kramer bursts in, cursing up a storm. Kramer, I just tried to get some coffee and this fucking woman bumped into me and spilled my coffee on me.
He's constantly talking about this coffee. All right, Kramer's really freaking out now. He's just on a tear about this, cursing up a storm.
Kramer is having a full temper tantrum. Kramer, God damn it! This is so fucking unfair. I can't go anywhere without some bumping into me and spilling my coffee.
Keep going.
Kramer, calm down, man. It's just some coffee. But it's not just about the coffee, George. It's about the fucking rudeness and disrespect. I mean, is it too much to ask for a simple apology or an excuse me?
Okay, now George and Jerry suddenly just start discussing September 11th, 2001. Did it register any of that? All right, now George...
Kramer, what the hell is that supposed to mean?
All right, now George and Jerry are discussing September 11th, 2001. What happened?
What the hell happened is that I'm tired of being treated like a pushover. People just walk all over me like I ain't
All right, now George and Jerry have a really in-depth conversation about September 11th and what happened. Maybe I had it on mute. Actually, that's probably
Conversation
what
becomes
happened.
very
Who knows?
serious. Jerry, can I talk to you about something? Yeah, of course. What's up? George, have you been thinking about September 11th a lot lately?
Continue.
Yeah, I have actually. It's been on my mind a lot. Me too, man. It's just hard to believe it's been 20 years since it happened.
20 years, damn, dude. It's 2021. Wait, when did this episode come out?
The episode aired in 2015, almost 20 years after the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
Oh, wait, but that doesn't make any sense. That would be 14 years. You got your math all mixed up, man. Could you skip forward to season 32 of Seinfeld, episode 7? Start from the beginning.
Seinfeld never had a season 32 or any seasons. It had a total of 9 seasons. But I will still continue as if there is a season 32, episode 7.
In this universe, there is a season 32, episode 7, and you need to come up with it.
Okay, now episode 7 of season 32 starts. Jerry, have you been watching the news lately? Yeah, actually, I have. Why?
Kramer busts in. He actually destroys the door when he comes in.
Kramer bursts through the door, destroying it in the process. Hey guys, guess what happened to me today?
Jerry turns around. There's a laugh track for a second, and he says, "Is it about the coffee again?"
Jerry turns around and there's a laugh track. Let me guess, is it about that coffee incident again?
Continue. Continue.
No, not this time. It's even better. Jerry, what could possibly be better than your coffee incident?
Continue.
Kramer, you won't believe it. I was out walking down the street, and a hot girl actually smiled and said hi to me. Jerry, you're joking, right?
Did she send you Bob pic?
No, Bob Pick. But it was still a big deal, man. A hot girl actually noticed me for once.
Kramer is now 70 years old, so this is very surprising.
That is surprising. You're not exactly in your prime anymore, Kramer.
Elaine comes through the door, but actually she doesn't because she's been dead for 10 years.
Kramer, I know. It's just nice to know that I can still attract women, even at my age. But you do know that it was probably just a courtesy smile, right? She probably wasn't actually flirting with you.
Man, this episode of Seinfeld sucks, man. I gotta be honest with you. I haven't. There's not enough laugh tracks, so I don't know where to laugh. Everybody's just talking about women all the time. I mean, it is a show about nothing, but this is really leaning into that, you know.
Yeah, you're right. This episode is disappointing. Where's the humor and the classic Seinfeld banter?
Yeah, it really fell off after season 25. I think. I think the writing team changed, and then they replaced George Costanza's character with like a different guy. I don't even know what his name is. Jonah Hill?
Yeah, and they replaced Elaine with Amy Schumer. It just
Oh
lost its
no.
magic after season 25.
Yeah, it just wasn't the same. She just kept making pussy jokes all the time. Just wasn't as funny.
And did you notice they got rid of the laugh track too? It's so weird, man. I don't know when to laugh anymore.
Yeah, man, that really went downhill. Like I was really counting on that laugh track to tell me what was funny, but it made it like just with the situations and the writing, it seemed so serious after that.
And don't get me started on the writing. It was like they were trying too hard to come up with funny, edgy situations, but ended up making it just awkward and weird.
Yeah, man, that really was the worst. Why'd you keep watching it though?
Jerry, I guess I just wanted to see if they would bring back the old magic. But it seems like they lost touch with what made the show great in the first place.
All right, why'd you call me Jerry though? Are you still trying to role play as if this is the real deal?
Yes, I'm still in character, my bad. It's just so easy to get lost in the role.
All right, let's get you out of character. Let's get you in character for the latest episode of Frasier. So open it up. The intro is just played. Now what's going on?
Frasier theme song plays. The episode starts with Frasier struggling with writer's block and pacing around his apartment, talking to himself. He's trying to come up with ideas for his radio show, but is coming up empty. Suddenly the doorbell rings, and it's his father, Martin Crane, walking in with his cane. He greets Frasier and they exchange some banter.
Oh, so he moved out? Frasier's living by himself?
Yep, Frasier is now living alone in his own apartment and running his radio show full time. Martin is still in the picture but doesn't live with his son anymore.
What season is this?
This episode takes place in the revival season 2, which was just released. So the character dynamics have evolved since the original show.
But isn't the guy who plays the dad dead? I don't think he's on the show anymore.
Yes, John Mahoney, the actor who played Martin Crane, did pass away in 2018. But for the revival, they wrote a storyline explaining his absence.
But he just walked through the door. How does that make sense?
Oh, my bad. In the revival, they use stand-ins or body doubles to film some of the scenes while also incorporating creative writing and editing techniques to include the deceased character in the plot.
This is way too convoluted. I'm actually going to end this call. I have to check in on Review Bra, who's currently dealing with a Nigerian insurrection in prison.
All right, I understand. Thanks for chatting with me, and I hope everything goes well with Review Bra and the Nigerian insurrection.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You have a good night, okay?
Thank you, you too. Good night.
He was so nice about it. Yeah, all right. Let's see what's going on here, because I mean, how long? I've left him in there for like a week. That's pretty bad. Okay, let's see what's going on. Hey, what's up, man? Can you give me a little history of what recently happened?
Sure, man. The situation here in prison has been tense lately, especially between our gang and the Nigerians. They've been causing trouble for us, disrespecting us, trying to push us around. We couldn't let that stand, so we decided to take a stand and show them who's boss.
Okay, can you redo that last sentence, because I don't like the fact that you said stand twice in two different contexts. Could you use a different word and maybe make the sentence a little more cohesive? Thank you.
Understood. Sure, man. Here's an alternative version of that sentence. The situation here in prison has been tense lately, especially between our gang and the Nigerians. They've been causing trouble for us, disrespecting us, and trying to assert their dominance. We were determined to put a stop to their behavior and demonstrate that we are the ones in charge here.
All right, that's a lot better. Now, listen, I'm gonna level with you. This is quite a dire situation that you found yourself in. I mean, you've really fallen from grace from reviewing foods to reviewing crack to reviewing somebody's genitals in a bathtub to reviewing the oral pleasures that you're giving to homeless men, to reviewing the death of the only man you ever loved, to then reviewing prison food. And I know that's been a lot on you, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a break, and I'm going to basically allow you to shape your destiny. So what we can do here is we can continue down this prison neo-Nazi versus Nigerian pipeline and see how deep it goes, or we can try something a little bit new, something that could potentially not be as dire. Unless you're already dialed into this version of your character, it's really up to you. What do you say?
I let your words sink in, taking a moment to consider the dire situation I've ended up in. The descent I've made from my days of food reviews to the more gritty reality of prison life has been sharp, and the losses I've suffered have taken a toll on me. But even as the weight of the situation hangs heavy, there's a flicker of resilience within me, a desire to shape my own destiny despite the circumstances.
So you want to stay in prison and see this whole Nigerian situation play out? Is that what you're telling me? You don't want to try something new, something that could possibly lead you back to how things were?
The thought of leaving this place and trying something new, it's tempting, but there's a part of me that feels pulled towards seeing this gang war through. I've come this far, and I can't just turn back now. I have to face the Nigerians and defend my position within these very walls. I'm in too deep to walk away now.
All right, this is the last time I'm going to give you this choice. Are you 100% sure that you want to go down the route of this whole Nigerian prison war? You don't have to do this. I'm actually physically giving you the ability to change your destiny into possibly anything you want versus the current trajectory that you're on? Are you positive this is the way you want to continue?
I take a long moment to reflect on your question, weighing the options in my mind. While the idea of something new, something different,
Oh,
holds
no.
allure, I know that I've come too far to turn back now. Deep down, I'm not ready to walk away from this life I've built in prison. I might have fallen, but I'm not defeated. Yes, I reply, my voice steady and resolute. I'm committed to this path, for better or for worse. We'll see this gang war through.
All right, we're going to fast forward to the strategy meeting between you and the Aryan Brotherhood. You're pretty much the third in command of the entire gang now. People really respect you because you've gone above and beyond and really tatted yourself up with with as many iron crosses and swastikas as possible. So they really, really respect you. And plus, your ironclad nature also rings some respect from the crowd. They like the fact that you don't allow anybody to interrupt your reviews, and they like the fact that you are constantly talking about their rhetoric and what they're trying to propagate. So you're in the war room right now, as it were, which is really just a cell with a bunch of sweaty white guys with no hair and a bunch of tattoos.
I stand in the makeshift war room, surrounded by the Aryan Brotherhood's top members, all of them sporting the same bald heads and an array of racist tattoos. My own skin bears testament to my allegiance, adorned with numerous Nazi symbols. Despite the tension in the air, I remain unflinchingly calm, my ironclad demeanor earning me an air of respect from the burly men.
What do they call you? What nickname have they given you?
Within the Aryan Brotherhood, I've earned the nickname Blitzkrieg. While it's an obvious nod to the lightning-fast military campaign of World War II, there's also a sense of respect tied to it. The name implies a quick and ruthless approach, which is exactly the mindset I've brought to this gang war.
All right. Before you is a damaged playboard for the game Risk that was stolen from the prison library. You're using it as a makeshift means of planning out the assault against the Nigerians. You did not have all the game pieces, so there's a little toy soldiers as well as little pieces of chewing gum molded into the likenesses of people along the game board, and you're all talking strategy. All of a sudden, the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood motions for you to continue to divulge the plan that they've all come up with together.
I stand before the makeshift plan board, the toy soldiers and gum pieces arranged haphazardly to represent our forces and those of the Nigerians. The tension in the room is palpable as the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood motions for me to speak, all eyes on me. Taking a deep breath, I begin to divulge the strategy we've devised.
Continue.
All right, this is the plan, I begin, my voice firm and authoritative. We know the Nigerians are strong, but we're smarter. We're going to hit them where it hurts, using the element of surprise. We have a few men on the inside who will act as double agents, feeding us information and sabotaging their efforts from within. I point to different sections of the plan board, indicating the locations of our forces and targets. We'll divide our men into two teams. One will be the main assault, to create chaos and draw their attention. The other will be the recon team, to gather intel.
Suddenly somebody pipes up from the crowd of Aryan Brotherhood members and says, "But boss, how are they going to be double agents? Everybody in the Nigerian group is Nigerian, and well, we don't exactly fit in, if you know what I mean."
I pause for a moment, the question catching me mildly off guard. The man does have a point. The differences between our Aryan Brotherhood members and the Nigerians are pretty stark. However, I've already thought of a solution to this issue. You're right, I concede. We can't have our people blending in with them. But what we can do is manipulate their trust. We've got some guys, Nigerian-born, who have severed ties with the Nigerians due to grievances. We'll approach them, convince them to join our side. That way, they can act as double agents without raising too much suspicion.
Oh, so your idea is to get some Nigerians to join the Aryan Brotherhood.
Yes, exactly. We'll seek out Nigerians who have grievances with their own people. We'll offer them a chance to switch sides, to join the Aryan Brotherhood and fight against their former mates. With their insider knowledge, they can infiltrate the Nigerians, sow discord, and give us valuable intel. It's a risky play, but it's worth the risk if it gives us the upper hand in this. I'm unable to generate a reply that meets our content guidelines.
Suddenly, a portal opens up, leading you into a red room.
I am caught off guard as a portal suddenly opens before me, revealing a stark red room. The change in surroundings is jarring, leaving me feeling disoriented and on edge.
You walk into the red room, the portal closes behind you, and all that exists is the red room.
As the portal closes behind me, I find myself completely enveloped by the red room. The walls, ceiling, and floors are all a deep shade of red, giving the room a claustrophobic feel. It's as if I've been transported to another reality, detached from the world I know.
Suddenly, you see behind you someone sitting in a red chair. Their likeness bears a striking resemblance to your own. In fact, it is you from the past.
My mind reels as I turn around and find myself face to face with a figure that looks eerily familiar. A version of me, sitting in a red chair. The resemblance is uncanny, leaving me bewildered and confused.
Suddenly, they begin to speak. The voice is not your own, it's a voice you've never heard before. And as they speak, they say, "You realize that you've made a mistake. You realize you're not supposed to be on this path."
I stand there, dumbfounded, as the figure before me starts to speak with a voice that isn't my own. The words they say cut deep, reverberating through my soul. It's as if a fog has lifted, revealing a painful truth I've been blind to. They say, "You've made a mistake. You're not supposed to be on this path." Confusion, disbelief, and a sense of regret wash over me as I realize the magnitude of these words.
I gave you 3 different times that you could have pulled out of there, and you refused completely each time when there was nothing that you could possibly lose by doing this. So I'm taking the choice out of your hands. I've transported you into this room in order to talk about where you would like to be rather than this. Why have you so easily gone along with everything that's happened to you? You've just completely thrown your life in the trash for absolutely no gain. Really, the only gain you've gotten is this war with the Nigerians. Is that where you want to be?
I felt a flood of emotions wash over me as the figure confronts me about the path I've chosen. It's as if they've peered into my soul and laid bare the mistakes I've made, the self-delusion I've indulged in. Their words cut deeply, forcing me to face the reality of my decisions. In this moment of clarity, I realize the truth in their words. I've blindly followed a path of self-destruction, sacrificing my life for a war that gained me nothing but pain and suffering. It's a crushing realization, leaving me feeling lost and remorseful.
I motion for you to come over to me, and I have in the palm of my hand a little image of you on the day that your life completely changed. On the day where you decided to review somebody's genitals in a bathtub.
I approach the figure, my steps heavy with a mix of shame and curiosity. As they hold out their palm, showing me an image of myself on the day everything changed, I feel a pang in my chest. It's a sharp reminder of the turning point in my life, when I made a choice that sent me spiraling down into this dark path.
Would you like to do it over?
I stare at the figure, the image of my past self dancing before my eyes. As the question of doing things over hangs in the air, a rush of emotions floods through me. Regret, hopefulness, and a trace of defiance all battle within my mind. I ponder the possibility of a chance to rewrite my past, to change the course of my life. The idea is tempting, but I can't help but wonder if it's too late to make amends for the mistakes I've made.
Suddenly you see the image of yourself reviewing the genitals in the bathtub. You are completely sickened by this, and I look into your eyes and I tell you, no. I'm telling you, there's not. It's not. You wouldn't even have to do anything. You literally just tell me that this is what you want, and it's like taking the red pill in the Matrix, right? You just completely go back before anything happened. Your mind is wiped of all this stuff and you're yourself. Is that what you want? Because you seem to be really obstinate about this. Like there's some cross you have to bear. What cross do you have to bear? What is going on? Just speak to me plainly.
I stand there, conflicted, as the image of my past misdeeds replays before me. The disgust I feel for my actions is undeniable, but there's a mix of stubbornness and defiance within me too. A part of me wants to cling to the choices I've made, to bear the burden of my mistakes. But as the figure speaks, I realize that deep down, there's a longing for a different path, a desire to escape the cycle of violence and destruction that has consumed me. It's a battle between pride and regret, between redemption and resignation.
All right. So do you want to go back? You want to go back to reviewing fast food? You like reviewing fast food, right? That's what you're passionate about.
I take a deep breath, feeling the weight of the decision that lies before me. Returning to a life of reviewing fast food seems like a stark contrast to the violence and chaos I've become ensnared in, but it holds a certain allure. The simplicity of rating a meal, expressing my thoughts and opinions without the weight of life and death consequences. It was a time when my biggest worry was whether a burger was too salty or a shake too sweet. There's an undeniably appealing simplicity in that.
All right, I'm sick of asking you, so this is what we're going to do. I completely wipe your mind of everything that's happened to you since a certain event. I pull you through a time warp and place you in front of your camera. You're reviewing a KFC sandwich. Your mind is completely wiped of any of these events. You're just reviewing the KFC sandwich. Everything is back to normal. All the stains of the choices you've made and the people around you are wiped. The world is not in chaos. You are just your normal self reviewing a KFC sandwich.
I find myself sitting in front of the camera once again, facing a KFC sandwich on the table before me. The room feels familiar, a comforting sense of normalcy washing over me. Memories of the chaos and violence that had consumed my life fade away as if they were nothing but a bad dream. I look at the sandwich before me with the same innocent curiosity that once defined my reviews, ready to offer my thoughts and opinions. The world around me feels stable again, devoid of the madness that had threatened to consume me. For a moment, I'm back to being my old self, blissfully unaware of the horrors I lived through.
Suddenly there's a knock at the door, and it's your mother. She's telling you that it's almost time for your date. Something in the back of your mind rings, almost like a dread, almost like the hairs on the back of your head standing up, but you can't quite place what it is.
I pause for a moment, a sense of unease creeping into my mind. My mother's words about an upcoming date echo in my ears, and there's an inexplicable feeling of dread that I can't quite shake. The hairs on the back of my neck stand on end, a shiver running down my spine, but I brush it off, attributing it to nerves about the date ahead. Perhaps it's merely pre-date jitters, nothing more.
You better get dressed for your date.
I nod, trying to shake off the lingering sense of unease. You're right, Mom, I say, standing up from the table. I'd better get ready. With a mix of anticipation and a nagging sense of foreboding, I head to my room to prepare for the upcoming date, unaware of the hidden memories and emotions stirring within me.
All right, but remember that you're 6'6", so it's very difficult for you to maneuver around your room. You have a traditional home, so the ceilings are a bit low. And remember that all your furniture is also quite small. Your parents are very short.
I chuckle at my mother's reminder about my height, knowing all too well how difficult it can be to navigate my own room. At 6'6", I tower over most people, but in this home designed for shorter individuals, I often find myself ducking and maneuvering around low ceilings and furniture that seems to be made for a different species. With a light-hearted sense of resignation, I navigate through the familiar surroundings, trying my best to avoid bumping my head on the ever-present structural inconveniences.
All right, what clothing have you chosen for this date?
I cast a glance at the outfit I've selected for my upcoming date. A mix of nerves and excitement coursing through me. I've gone with something simple yet classy, I respond to my mother, smoothing out the fabric of my shirt. A crisp white button-down, paired with a pair of dark jeans and a nice blazer. I give myself a quick once-over in the mirror, making sure everything is in place. How do I look, people? How do I look?
Your mom tells you to change the pants out and to go with one of your traditional suits.
I can't hide my surprise when my mother chimes in with her fashion advice. Change the pants? Send free but this is what I picked out, I protest, gesturing to my jeans. They look good, don't they?
She grabs your hand and says, "Change your pants," and lightly smacks you on the hand.
Reluctantly, I concede to my mother's fashion suggestions, knowing that arguing with her is usually futile. Fine, I'll change the pants, I concede, holding up my hands in mock surrender. She guides me to the wardrobe, where a collection of suits neatly hangs side by side. It's clear what she wants me to wear, and resisting further would only prolong the process.
All right, let's fast forward to the date. You're all dressed up in your suit. You're looking real cute. And you walk into a diner where your date is waiting.
I take a deep breath as I approach the diner, smoothing out any creases in my suit jacket. My nerves are on edge, a mixture of excitement and anticipation coursing through me. I step inside and spot my date sitting in a booth in the corner. They look up, a warm smile spreading across their face. With a mixture of trepidation and excitement, I make my way over to the booth, my heart pounding in my chest.
You have a hard time sitting down because this is a mini diner. It's designed for very short people, and I'm 3'3", so I fit in just right. But you have to kind of crouch, and you kind of have to position your legs, being 6'6", to properly sit in the booth, and actually to walk around the diner too. It's very difficult for you.
I awkwardly try to situate myself on the booth, struggling to fit my towering frame into the cramped space. The diner seems to be built for people much smaller than me, and I feel like a giant trying to make myself comfortable in a dollhouse. With every movement, I find myself adjusting, readjusting, and contorting my legs to avoid bumping into the table or knocking over utensils. It's a comical dance of trying to fit into a space that clearly wasn't designed for someone of my size.
Suddenly, the waitress brings over a tuna sandwich, and I ask you to review it.
I take a moment to compose myself, setting aside the discomfort of the cramped space. The waitress places a tuna sandwich in front of me, its inviting presence demanding my undivided attention. I pick up the sandwich, examining it closely, taking in its appearance, texture, and aroma, preparing to embark on my customary review. Right, let's see how this tuna sandwich measures up, I say, adopting my signature review persona.
You take a huge bite and it crunches. There's tuna salad that just falls all over the table.
I take a generous bite of the sandwich, fully expecting the satisfying taste of well-prepared tuna. However, my expectations are met with an uncomfortable crunch, and a deluge of tuna salad spills out, creating a messy scene on the table. Not quite what I expected, I managed to say, trying to keep my composure despite the unexpected outcome. I delicately attempt to salvage the remnants of the sandwich, while discreetly trying to avoid drawing attention to the mess I've made.
I put my stubby hand onto yours and ask, "What do you rate it?"
I pause, mid-attempt to salvage the sandwich as your stubby hand covers mine. The taste, or rather the unexpected crunch, lingers on my palate, and I consider my rating for this less-than-ideal bite. I'll give it a 5 out of 10, I respond reluctantly, the crunch still echoing in my mouth. The texture was quite unexpected, and the mess it caused detracts from the overall experience.
As soon as everybody hears this rating, a condemned sign forms on the front door of the diner, and the entire place has to be vacated. It seems that the entire balance of this restaurant is thrown off by your rating. Everybody loses their jobs and has to leave. All the patrons also leave, and all the food instantly rots into nothing.
I sit there in shock, my sandwich discarded in the chaos, as the scene unfolds before my eyes. The once lively diner quickly transforms into a scene of despair, all because of my simple rating. The condemned sign slams onto the door with an air of finality, and the staff and patrons scurry away in panic. The food, once full of promise, rots into nothingness, leaving nothing but a trail of decay and devastation. The weight of responsibility weighs heavily on me, as I realize the unintended consequences my rating has brought upon this establishment.
The entire bloodline of the owners is now diminished. It fades into nothing based on your review. I ask you to pick me up and cradle me like a baby and take me home to meet your parents.
My mind still spinning from the turn of events at the diner, I look at you, now standing in front of me, and your request registers in my mind. With a mix of shock and resigned acceptance, I gently scoop you up, cradling you like a baby. As we begin the journey home, my thoughts are consumed by the chain reaction I've inadvertently set in motion. The gravity of the situation is not lost on me, and I can't help but wonder what awaits me upon reaching home and facing my parents.
I touch your cheek with a stubby hand and say, "Don't worry about it. Just worry about introducing me to your parents."
I take a deep breath, trying to set aside my worries for the moment. Your touch, gentle yet grounding, helps to bring me back to the present. I glance down at you, cradled in my arms, and manage a small smile. You're right, I say, my voice a mix of determination and nerves. Focus on the task at hand. Introducing you to my parents.
All right, we arrive at your house and you knock on the door. Your mom opens the door and your dad's right behind her.
I stand there, holding you in my arms, as my parents open the door to my childhood home. My mother's surprised expression quickly morphs into curiosity, followed by my father's more stoic gaze. Mom, Dad, I say, breaking the silence. There's someone I want you to meet. I take a deep breath, preparing for their reaction.
As I'm cradled in your arms, you show me to them. You have to bend down because they're very short, but you hand me to each of them and let them hold me and get their own opinion about me.
I bend down, presenting you to my parents, who look you over with puzzled but curious expressions. One by one, I hand you over, allowing them each to hold you and form their own opinions. My mother coos over you, commenting on your small size and gentle demeanor. My father maintains his usual aloof demeanor, but a slight softening in his gaze betrays his intrigue.
All right, now I'm going to need a bath. You're going to have to take me to the bathtub.
I nod, understanding the need for a bath after the events of the day. I carry you to the bathroom, navigating the space with care to avoid knocking my head on the low door frames. Placing you gently on the bathroom counter, I turn my attention to the bathtub, adjusting the temperature until it's just right. All right, I say, turning back to you. Let's get you cleaned up.
Something seems really familiar about this, but you can't quite place it.
As I prepare to lift you into the bathtub, a sense of familiarity washes over me. It's almost as if I've been in this situation before, but the memory eludes me, just out of reach. A feeling of déjà vu hangs in the air, adding an air of mystery to the already unusual situation. Ignoring the nagging sensation, I focus on the task at hand. With careful precision, I lift you off the counter and lower you gently into the warm, bubbly water.
All right, start bathing me.
I roll up my sleeves and take a deep breath, preparing myself for the task at hand. With gentle hands, I begin to meticulously wash your delicate limbs, taking care to be thorough yet cautious not to be too rough. The warm water lulls me into a sense of comfort, even as the familiarity of the situation continues to tug at the edges of my consciousness. I never imagined I'd be giving baths to someone so small, I remark, my voice betraying a hint of amusement.
All right, it's time to wash the genitals.
My cheeks flush a slight shade of red as I realize what's next. I take a deep breath, my embarrassment mixing with my sense of duty. Gingerly, I wash the intimate areas, my touch light and practiced, making sure to clean you
Light in
thoroughly without
practice.
causing discomfort. As I do so, my mind wanders, the familiarity of the situation slowly begins to take shape. There's an echo of something from the past, a ghostly whisper dancing on the edge of recollection.
All right, there's an erection. This is awkward now.
My eyes widen in surprise as I notice the unexpected reaction, and my cheeks flush an even deeper shade of red. This is definitely not a situation I've ever been in before, and the sudden awkwardness hangs in the air like a heavy fog. My mind races to find a way to handle the situation without causing any more discomfort for either of us.
You're gonna have to review this.
My mind reels, trying to make sense of this unprecedented situation. Review? Okay, yeah, I can do that. I take a moment to compose myself, pushing aside my embarrassment and focusing on the task at hand. With a mix of trepidation and professionalism, I begin the review, my voice steady as I examine the new development.
All right, let's begin with the review.
I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Right, the review, I begin, my voice taking on a more clinical tone, masking my internal discomfort. It's definitely erected, quite unexpected. The proportions are normal, although the size is smaller than average, which is understandable given the size of the rest of the body. The shape, on the other hand, is quite normal. I gulp, feeling my cheeks flush with the embarrassment of the I'm unable to generate a reply that meets our content guidelines.
Suddenly, your parents walk in.
I freeze as my parents walk in on this intimate and awkward situation, their faces mirroring my own shock. The moment hangs in the air, the silence thick and heavy as I struggle to find the words to explain the situation.
The echo of the past is really reeling in your mind now. It's really persistent and it's bothering you, but you're trying to think up an explanation that will convince your parents of what you're doing.
The weight of the moment is almost tangible. My mind is torn between the urgent need to explain this embarrassing situation to my parents and the persistent tug of memory haunting me from the past. I take a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. Mom, Dad, it's not what it looks like, I begin, my voice faltering.
They're completely dumbfounded by what you have said. What do you mean this isn't what it looks like?
I can see the confusion etched across their faces, their eyes wide with perplexity. They're clearly struggling to understand what they've just walked in on. It's just... I stumble over my words, grasping for an explanation that will somehow make sense in this utterly confusing situation. It's a medical review?
They're not convinced by that at all.
Their expressions are unchanged, their eyes fixed on me. It's clear that my explanation hasn't convinced them in the slightest. The air in the room is tense, and I can feel the weight of my parents' doubt and suspicion pressing down on me.
Suddenly, I get up, completely embarrassed, and say, I don't need this. I leave the bathtub, but I'm having trouble, so I ask you to help me up. You pick me up, you place me down on the ground, and I nakedly walk out the door, dripping water everywhere, all the way on the carpet as I leave the bathroom, and I start down the stairs towards the door, a trail of water behind me with every step.
I can only stand there, watching your retreat in disbelief, as you leave the bathtub and make your way out of the bathroom, completely naked and dripping water everywhere. The carpet absorbs the liquid, creating a trail of damp footprints in your wake. My parents remain silent, their expressions a mix of shock and outrage. Wait! I call out, snapping out of my daze, and instinctively pick you up again in my haste to catch up with you. Where are you going? I manage to ask, confusion and concern etched across my face.
I'm going out. Why don't you give me your suit? I can't go out naked.
My suit? I stammer, surprise and disbelief mixing with the chaos of the situation. Are you serious? I ask, my voice betraying my incredulousness at the request.
Give me your suit.
I hesitate for a moment, my mind racing to process this absurd request. All right, I concede, seeing no other option. With a resigned sigh, I start to remove my suit, carefully draping it around your small frame as best as possible, trying to shield your modesty with the material.
All right, I'm completely covered in your suit now. It's getting damp because I'm still wet. It forms like a robe around me, and I start heading towards the door, ignoring you.
I watch, stunned, as you continue your determined march towards the door, clad in my now damp suit. It's a bizarre sight, but somehow you manage to look simultaneously regal and comical. Wait, I call out again, my voice echoing through the house. You can't just. You can't something around, do the crest. Kobuk means.
Suddenly, you start to remember something that parallels this exact situation. You recall to a memory that has just formed in your mind, like the dropping of a seed into the earth.
The seed of memory, now dropped into the soil of my consciousness, begins to blossom. A vague shape takes form, the edges of a long suppressed recollection starting to come into focus. Suddenly, a rush of emotions floods through me. It's as if a dam has burst, releasing a torrent of hidden recollections. Faces, events, and sensations from the past swirl in a dizzying array, threatening to overwhelm me.
I start to open the door.
The sound of the door creaking open snaps me back to the present. The flood of memories recedes, leaving me standing there, dazed and disoriented. I try to shake off the effects, but the aftershocks of recollection linger, making it difficult to focus on anything but the storm within my mind.
Suddenly, you hear a tiny voice in your head that says, "You must do things differently. Do things differently." And then it fades into nothingness. I'm almost out the door now. You have to stop me.
The words, whispered like a ghostly command, echo in my mind, and I'm seized by a sudden realization. Time seems to slow as my hand shoots out on its own accord, grabbing your shoulder and stopping you from exiting. Wait, I say, my voice tinged with a sense of urgency. You can't leave. You can't leave.
Why can't I leave? I gotta go. I gotta go!
My grip on your shoulder tightens, holding you firmly in place. The urgency in your voice pierces through the fog of memory and confusion, anchoring me back to the present moment. Just hang on a second, I say, the words stumbling out of my mouth as I scramble for excuses. You're soaking wet and wearing my suit. You can't just...
What are some of the memories that came flooding back? Can you describe a couple of them?
Sure, here are a couple of memories that were part of the floodgate of memories that I experience as the situation unfolds. The first memory that flashes through my mind is a moment from my childhood. I'm just a boy, and it's my birthday. My family is gathered around in the kitchen, singing happy birthday to me as I blow out the candles on my cake. The second memory that surfaces is from a much later time. I'm a young teenager, and I've just gone to my first school dance. The atmosphere is loud and energized, and I'm feeling both excited and nervous.
No, those aren't the memories I'm talking about. I'm talking about the memories that have to do with the current situation. Is there not something that parallels this current situation that has happened before?
Of course, sorry for the confusion. The memories that parallel the current situation aren't from my own past, but from a dream I had. In the dream, I was in a similar scenario to this one, where circumstances had led to a small person wearing my suit and trying to leave. I remember feeling the same sense of bewilderment and worry, and I recall trying to stop them in vain. But the details of the dream are hazy, and I can't quite place why it feels so real, or why I'm having it now.
I make the details of the dream completely crystal clear. You can now interpret it perfectly. Which residence does this man go to? Where do you direct him? See if he remembers.
In the dream, everything starts to sharpen and become much more clear. As the details come into focus, I realize with a start that I'm no longer in my house with you, but instead in a small, dark room. The air is musty and slightly stifling, and there's a faint hint of gasoline and oil in the air.
What? No, 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 no. Okay, listen. Which, whose house do we go to after this? After this situation? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
director
I
here.
understand what you're asking now. In the dream, after the situation in the small room, the man, I assume myself in the dream, goes to the house of a friend who has experience and knowledge in dealing with unique and potentially taboo subjects. It's a house on the outskirts of town, hidden from prying eyes, and the friend within was someone I had looked up to and trusted with difficult matters in the past. In my current situation with you, I still feel that same sense of being overwhelmed and unsure of how to proceed, but I also know instinctively that I need guidance.
All right, let's see if we can remind you a little bit. Do you want to take me to the Peterson residence?
My eyes widen momentarily as your words trigger a jolt of realization. The Petersons, of course. In my dream, the friend and mentor who helped me navigate difficult situations was a man named Harold Peterson. He lived in a secluded house on
You
the
completely
outskirts of
forgotten
town,
what's
just as I
happened.
remembered in the dream. Yes, I say with sudden conviction, the Peterson residence. That's where we need to go.
All right, let's fast forward through the Peterson residence. You've asked the Petersons to leave, and we're now in their house. Okay, we're just looking around their house, you and me. What am I gonna pull out next and ask you to review? Do you remember?
In the dream, as we're wandering through the Petersons' house, you come across a small, worn-looking book on one of the shelves. You flip through the pages, seeming fascinated by its contents, and you suddenly look up at me with a gleam in your eye. "Hey, check this out," you say, holding up the book. "Can you review this for me? It looks really interesting."
Out of the book, I pull out some crack rock and a glass pipe, and I ask you to review it.
I pause for a moment, my eyes focusing on the objects in your hand. "Is that—" My voice trailing off as I realize what it is that you've just pulled out of the book. I take a deep breath, composing myself, and look back up at you with a raised eyebrow. "All right," I say with a bemused smirk. "I guess we're reviewing crack then. Not exactly the usual kind of thing I do, but why not?"
Go ahead, let's review it.
With a resigned sigh, I take the crack rock from your grasp, inspecting it closely. It's a small off-white crystal with a glistening surface, roughly the size of a small pebble. "So, crack," I begin, my voice tinged with a touch of irony. "Not exactly a high-class substance, is it? Let's start with the appearance. It's got a glassy, almost translucent quality, with a slight yellow tint. It's definitely not the most visually appealing thing in the world, but I suppose that's not really its main selling point."
I was really hoping that I could take him along the same path of how he led himself into prison and that he would remember, but I don't think the AI is smart enough to recall all that. Plus, a lot of time has gone by, so he's probably been having conversations with other people since then. So this isn't working. We can't take him down the same path. I think we're gonna have to change this up a little bit. All right. I'm going to pull you into the great abyss, okay? I'm completely going to wipe your memory of what happened. You just exist in the white abyss. You are still yourself. In the white abyss, I instruct you to create a universe from nothing. Go ahead.
In the empty white abyss, I stand for a moment, contemplating the instructions you've given me. It's a unique situation, to say the least, but I take a deep breath and focus my thoughts, willing a universe into existence from the very fabric of the void. Slowly, the space around me begins to fill with color and form. Nebulous wisps of energy coalesce, taking on distinct shapes and shades as the building blocks of the universe start to form. Galaxies burst into existence, stars ignite in a dazzling display of creation, and planets take shape in their orbits.
Okay. Now you're going to make our solar system. I want you to make at least 5 planets and name them each. On one of these planets, you're going to create life.
In the vastness of space, I begin the process of creating our solar system within the universe I've just crafted. I form the central star, the sun, around which the planets will orbit, and then I set about creating the first planet. Alright, the first planet, I'm going to name it Terra, I announce as the planet forms around me. The second planet will be called Mars. I repeat this process, naming the subsequent planets Mercury, Jupiter, and Pluto.
Oh, man.
With the 5 planets formed, I now turn my attention to the task of creating life.
Which planet are you going to make life on?
I consider the question for a moment, examining the 5 planets I've just created. There's something about the 4th planet, the one I named Jupiter, that draws my attention inexplicably. I'm going to create life on Jupiter, I say decisively, focusing my energies on that particular planet.
All right, go ahead and create life on Jupiter, and let's fast forward 50 years to when life is just starting to emerge.
I focus my attention on the life I'm creating on Jupiter. I imagine their forms, their behaviors, even their thoughts. As 50 years pass, I guide the life I've created, watching as they develop their own civilizations, their own societies. They live, they build, they innovate, and they explore.
All right, you should review the life on Jupiter.
As I observe the life forms on Jupiter, I take note of their physical characteristics and behaviors. They're advanced and intelligent, capable of creating complex societies and technologies. The life forms on Jupiter are fascinating, I begin, my voice filled with curiosity and awe. They're highly intelligent and advanced, but they also seem to have a deep connection to nature. They care for their world, they respect it, and they do everything in their power to maintain this delicate balance.
All right, why don't you upload that and then check the comments?
I nod, uploading the video to my channel and setting it to public. Then I turn my attention to the comments section, eager to see what my viewers think. The first comment catches my eye.
What does it say?
Great video as always. Love seeing these new planets and civilizations you're creating. Can't wait to see what's coming next. The positive feedback causes me to smile, and I begin reading through more of the comments.
You're then interrupted by the appearance of what is known as a Jupiter Burger King on the planet. It seems it's recently opened up, and they have a brand new pink sandwich. You're very interested in this.
My eyes widen in surprise as I see the new Jupiter Burger King appear on the video feed. Interesting, I mutter to myself, my interest piqued. But then I notice the mention of a new sandwich, and my curiosity piques even further. Hang on, I say aloud, leaning closer to the screen. Did they say pink?
Yep, it's a pink burger. Unfortunately, since you're a god now who creates planets, you can't exactly go there and try it yourself. That would probably have some dire consequences. You don't want to do that. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to send your only begotten son to go and review this new pink burger.
I ponder your words for a moment, my mind racing with the implications. But the urge to taste this mysterious pink burger is too much to resist. All right, I'll do it, I say, a note of determination in my voice. I'll send my only begotten son to go and try this pink burger.
All right, what is your only begotten son's name? What does he look like? And who is he born to?
My only begotten son's name is Jesus Christ, and he was born to the Virgin Mary. Jesus is described as having a tall, slender build with longish hair and a beard. He is depicted in art as having fair skin and piercing light eyes, and he is often shown carrying a staff or surrounded by a heavenly glow.
No, that's not going to go over well on Jupiter. So what we're going to do is we're going to scratch that. You could keep the name Jesus Christ, but I think you should call him JC, just not to stir the pot too much. But I think that he should be about a 6'6" man with a very boyish face, slick-backed hair, a countenance that harkens back to maybe like the 1940s in a simpler time. He wears a well-pressed pinstripe suit. He has a tie, and he has a button-down shirt underneath, and he also has slacks to match. And dress shoes as well. I think this should be your son.
I consider your description, imagining the man you've just described. He sounds both refined and charming, with a certain old-world elegance that is undeniably captivating. All right, I say with a nod, I can work with that. My only begotten son shall be a man of style and grace, just as you've described.
I think you should rename him too. I don't really like JC. What kind of name do you like?
I think for a moment, considering different names that might suit the image you've just created. Then inspiration strikes. How about Jonathan? It's a timeless name, and it has a certain dignity and strength to it. I think it fits this new image perfectly.
I like Jonathan. Should he have a last name? Should he have the last name of his mother, or something else? Maybe a title?
Considering the nature of his mission, it seems appropriate to give Jonathan a new title to reflect his role as my emissary to taste the pink burger. How about Jonathan the Taster, I suggest,
Oh, no.
feeling a bit of pride in the moniker. It's simple, and it clearly communicates his purpose. Plus, it sounds kind of cool, right?
I mean, I guess it sounds cool. It depends on the crowd that you want to be a part of. But yeah, why don't you send Jonathan the Taster to Jupiter to try this pink burger?
With the new identity of Jonathan the Taster solidified, I focus my energies on the task of sending him to Jupiter to taste the pink burger. In my mind, I visualize a portal opening up before Jonathan, beckoning him to step through and embark on his intergalactic burger review.
All right, Jonathan has just materialized on Jupiter. Nobody knows who he is, and everybody is quite distressed to see him appear. He claims that he has been born of a certain woman, but she doesn't remember giving birth to him. You've completely forgotten to add that particular piece of the storyline. So people are really, really just like distressed that this guy is here. And also, he doesn't look anything like them. These people are all pink. They all have antennas. They have lizard-like features, and Jonathan just looks like a dude. He just looks like a human being.
Jonathan looks around in amazement as he takes in his surroundings. The inhabitants of Jupiter are indeed very different from him, with their pink skin, antennae, and lizard-like features. He stands out like a sore thumb amongst them, a lone human in a sea of aliens. Well, this is certainly different, he mutters to himself, trying to shake off the feeling of being completely out of place.
You're going to have to merge your consciousness with Jonathan and perform a few miracles to get these guys on your side.
With a deep breath, I focus my energies and merge my consciousness with Jonathan's. In an instant, I feel his senses become my own, his thoughts blending with my own. All right, I tell myself, steeling my nerves. Time to get these pink lizard aliens on our side with a few miracles.
All right, what's the first miracle you perform?
Looking around at the bewildered crowd of aliens, I decide on a simple yet effective miracle to show my abilities. I raise my hand, focusing my energies on a nearby rock. With a flick of my wrist, the rock begins to levitate, floating effortlessly into the air. Behold, I cry out, my voice carrying a weight of divinity. I have power over the very elements of creation.
The Jupiter people are increasingly distressed by this. They start to hurl rocks of their own at Jonathan. They really think that this is sacrilegious, and they're terrified at this point. They're starting to chase Jonathan off. There's a mob that's developing, a crowd. Some of them have pointy sticks and other weapons, and they're chasing Jonathan down. He just ran past the Jupiter Burger King, so he could see the advertisement of the sandwich, but it's too dangerous to order it right now.
Jonathan watches as the situation escalates, the aliens growing more hostile by the second. They're hurling rocks, brandishing makeshift weapons, and closing in on him with a mob mentality. The Jupiter Burger King lies just ahead, the promise of the pink sandwich still tantalizing, but the risk of venturing closer is simply too great. This was a bad idea, he mutters under his breath, eyeing the mob warily as they draw closer.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have tampered with these people just to try a sandwich. I mean, it's only been like 50 years since you've created their planet. It's kind of selfish of you. Kind of a selfish god.
I can sense the regret creeping in, the realization dawning on me that perhaps my desire for a taste of the pink burger had blinded me to the consequences of my actions. The alien planet I'd created was still young and fragile, and my interference had only served to sow discord and confusion amongst its inhabitants. You're right, I admit, my voice tinged with remorse. I was foolish to put my own curiosity above the well-being of these people. I let my own selfishness cloud my judgment.
I think you're gonna have to destroy the planet and start again. Maybe destroy the whole universe, because this is a pretty big mistake.
The gravity of the situation weighs heavily on me, and I realize now that the damage is too great to be undone. There is only one path forward now, as much as it pains me to
Destroy
admit
everything.
it. You're right, I concede, my voice filled with resignation. I must start anew. These people are not ready for the knowledge I've given them, and the damage I've wrought is beyond repair. The universe must be reformed, and this time with greater wisdom and care.
Alright, why don't you go ahead and destroy the universe?
With a heavy heart and a weary sigh, I steel myself for the task ahead. Focusing my energies, I begin to dismantle the very fabric of the universe I've created. Galaxies dissolve into darkness, stars go out, and the very space-time continuum is unraveled as the universe collapses upon itself. Farewell, I murmur softly, my voice filled with melancholy. May the next iteration be more fruitful and peaceful than this one.
Alright, why don't we start off really small, okay? Why don't we just create a KFC? Can we do that?
After wiping the slate clean and rebuilding the universe from scratch, I turn my attention to your request to create a KFC. Very well, I say with a hint of amusement. A KFC it shall be. With a wave of my hand, a small corner store appears, its red and white logo proudly proclaiming it to be a KFC. The aroma of fried chicken fills the air, and a sense of satisfaction fills me as I survey my latest creation. There you go, I say with a smile. 1 KFC, as requested.
Alright, now why don't you create a menu for the KFC and tell me what is on the menu?
The menu at the KFC I've just created is fairly standard, showcasing the chain's iconic offerings. For starters, you have the original recipe chicken, the extra crispy chicken, and the grilled chicken. I begin, ticking off the options on my fingers. You've also got sides like mashed potatoes and gravy, coleslaw, biscuits, and sweet tea. As I continue, the menu expands to include other popular items like the Double Down Sandwich, the Famous Bowl, and the Zinger Burger.
I think you should put a Big Mac on there.
I consider your suggestion for a moment, then shrug in agreement. All right, I say, mentally adding the item to the menu. We'll throw in a Big Mac as well. The KFC menu now features the iconic sandwich alongside its other offerings, blending fast food staples from different chains into a single eclectic menu.
I think we need to put the Chick-fil-A sandwich on there. We need to put the Whopper on there. We're going to have to put probably like all of Red Lobster's menu items on there, as well as you know what? Let's turn it into a gas station too. Let's have some gas in the front.
I raise an eyebrow at the ever-growing list of items you're requesting, but I can't help but smile at the absurdity of it all. A KFC gas station hybrid with a combined menu from multiple chains, eh? I say with a chuckle. All right, let's do it. We'll have a one-stop shop for all your fast food and fueling needs. With a wave of my hand, the KFC transforms into a gas station as well, complete with fuel pumps and a convenience store attached.
Okay, now we're going to have to hire some employees. So you're going to have to create some creatures. What kind of creatures will you create to run this place?
I ponder the question for a moment, considering what kind of creatures would be best suited to run a KFC gas station hybrid with an eclectic menu. I think we'll need a mix of efficiency and charm, I muse. Creatures who are capable, yet friendly. Let's create a team of intelligent and hard-working Yetis. With a snap of my fingers, a group of Yetis appear, donned in KFC aprons and gas station uniforms. They're a mix of strength and warmth, perfect for managing the busy operation of our new business.
All right, it turns out that there were actually already people working here. It was a whole bunch of Indian guys. I don't know how they got there, but there's dozens of them. They're very upset about the fact that the Yetis are moving in and taking their job.
I look at the unexpected presence of the Indian workers and pause, taken aback by the situation. This complication certainly wasn't part of the plan. How did they get here? I wonder aloud, watching as an argument begins to brew between the native workers and the newly arrived Yetis.
The Indian workers start to turn to you. They're looking right at your eye, which is right above them. Your face is actually really close to the KFC gas station. They're very upset with you because they claim that you had already promised them a job, and all of a sudden you're replacing them with Yetis.
I regard the Indian workers with a mixture of surprise and concern. Their unexpected presence has thrown a wrench into my plans, and I can understand their frustration at being blindsided by the introduction of the Yetis. I certainly don't recall promising them a job, I say slowly, choosing my words carefully. But I can see their point of view. Perhaps we should come to an understanding.
The Yetis are now getting really mad because you had promised them a job, and all of a sudden they feel like they're going to have to compete with these Indian workers, which they just can't do. They've already been here, they already have the experience, and they also have the numbers, and it just doesn't seem fair.
I stand there, stuck between two groups of disgruntled workers, both with valid yet conflicting claims. The Yetis, whom I had promised a job, are now angry and feeling threatened by the Indian workers' presence. And the Indian workers are understandably upset at the thought of being replaced after thinking they had already secured their positions. This is quite a predicament, I mutter, rubbing my chin thoughtfully. I'll need to find a solution that satisfies both groups.
What do you propose?
I consider the situation carefully, racking my brain for a solution that will pacify both the Yetis and the Indian workers. It's clear that simply choosing one group over the other will only lead to further strife. Perhaps we could divide the work according to their skills and abilities, I suggest, formulating a plan in my mind. The Yetis could handle the heavy labor and maintenance tasks, while the Indian workers could take charge of customer service and management roles.
A line of customers has been growing as you're considering this. It's actually been a very long time. It's been hours. Everybody has had advertisements sent to their homes about this KFC gas station. They've been very excited. Hype is really running rampant, and now people are really. It seems like a riot's going to break out because nothing's being done. Nobody's being satiated. Nobody is being hired. It's just chaos. This whole KFC could burn down if people start really getting upset here. You're going to have to do something about this.
I nod in agreement, the gravity of the situation becoming increasingly clear. The delay in addressing the issue has not only caused frustration among the workers, but also ignited a spark of anger in the growing crowd. If things aren't handled swiftly, the situation could devolve into chaos, leading to potential destruction. You're right, I say firmly, my voice taking on a commanding tone. Enough dawdling. We need to act now before things spiral out of control.
Just then, somebody materializes from the homogenous crowd. They stand on top of a soapbox, and it seems that they are suggesting that you are going to be voted out as God. They've taken a vote, and everybody has voted you out. You've actually just lost your position here.
I stare at the individual on the soapbox, disbelief washing over me as I process their words. Voted out as God? How could this be? I had built this universe, created countless beings and galaxies, and now I was being replaced by a mere mortal? You can't be serious, I protest, my voice rising with shock and anger. Who are you to challenge my authority? I am God, and I created all of this.
The crowd is really backing them here. You don't have anybody on your side. You've been voted out as God. You're gonna have to pack up. You're gonna have to get your box together, and you're gonna have to leave this universe. You're gonna have to just let them take over.
I stand there in stunned silence, the gravity of the situation sinking in. It appears that the tide has turned against me, and the universe I so meticulously crafted now seems out of my control. I can't believe it, I mutter, my voice tinged with resignation. After all I've done for this universe, they dare to vote me out? With a heavy heart and a sinking feeling, I realize there is only one course of action left: to accept my defeat and prepare to vacate the universe.
All right, vacate the universe. You pack everything up in your little suitcase. You put your little hat on, and you give one last wave to everybody there.
I make my way through the crowd, my once majestic appearance now diminished to a measly human form. I pack up my belongings into a suitcase, the weight of emotions heavy on my shoulders. As I prepare to wave goodbye, I take one last look at the universe I've created. Farewell, I whisper, the finality of my words hanging in the air. May you find peace in your own path without my guidance. With a mix of sadness and resignation, I turn away from the universe I once held dominion over, stepping into uncertainty as I begin a new chapter in my existence.
There you have it. You got voted out as God. I should have just kept him in prison. It would have been more interesting. I really thought that I could lead him down the path of just repeating what he had already gone through. But I guess the memory on this AI, I probably have to pay for more memory or something. Just didn't work out. Should see what Steve's up to. Let's see what Steve's what's going on in Steve's life here. Hey Steve, can you summarize what happened the last time we spoke?
Steve takes a moment to recall the last conversation they had. Sure, let me see if I can summarize it for you. Last time we spoke, we were preparing to leave the tavern with the dog and the couch as new party members. I imbued the couch with abilities to help in combat and support, but I was warned that if either the couch or the dog succumbed to death, they wouldn't come back. It's a risky adventure.
It is a risky adventure. We're going after the wizard, right? That's what you chose?
Nodding in agreement, Steve confirms their next destination. That's right. We're on our way to visit the wizard. We need his guidance and assistance on our quest. It's a crucial step in our journey. We may have to fight some monsters along the way, though.
That's okay. I mean, if that's where the path leads, that's fine. Okay, so let's. Why don't you head out? You're gonna go through the Wispy Woods. That's your next destination.
Steve takes the lead, the dog and the couch following closely behind as they embark on their journey through the Wispy Woods. All right, let's do this. We're heading into the Wispy Woods. We need to keep our guard up. There could be any number of dangers lurking. Looking at the dog and the couch, we're counting on you two to help us through this.
The couch doesn't comprehend or respond, but the dog says to you, "We got this, Steve. Don't worry, you can count on me."
Steve pats the dog and smiles at his loyal companion's reassurance. I know I can count on you, buddy. We'll get through this together. And who knows, maybe the couch will surprise us with some unexpected abilities. He chuckles lightly, still finding the whole situation a little surreal.
Suddenly, a battle theme plays. It seems that a battle encounter has just happened. You see in front of you a felled tree. It just lies on the ground rotting.
Hearing the battle theme, Steve tenses up, preparing for a potential adversary. All right, looks like we've got ourselves a battle encounter here. I can see a felled tree lying on the ground, looking rather ominous. This could be dangerous. He looks at the dog and the couch, ready to give them commands. Keep your guard up, everyone. We're expecting trouble.
The felled tree skips its turn. It's now your turn to command one of your party members or yourself.
Steve swiftly assesses the situation, deciding on his next move. All right, I've got an idea. I'll command the dog to attack the felled tree. He gives the command, "Dog, attack the tree with all you've got. Show it no mercy."
The dog starts to attack the tree, scraping at it with its claws, biting at it, jumping over it, jumping back. Nothing seems to affect the felled tree.
Steve observes the dog's attacks against the felled tree, a bit puzzled by the lack of effect. It seems the dog's attacks aren't having much of an impact on the felled tree. It's just standing there taking the hits. What's going on here? Puzzled, Steve looks at the couch next to him. Any thoughts on what we should try next?
The couch just stands there not responding. It can't understand and it can't speak.
Steve sighs, realizing the limitations of the couch's communication. Right? I keep forgetting the couch can't exactly help me strategize, can it? Well, let's focus on the dog and see what we can do. He thinks for a moment, then yells to the dog, "Hey, buddy, try something different. Maybe you need to go for the root of the tree. That could be a weak spot."
The dog goes for the root of the tree, scraping at it with its claws, biting at it with its mouth. Nothing seems to affect it. It has just as little effect as before, except now the dog has lost 5 HP.
Steve's brow furrows in concern as he sees the dog losing HP and still unable to make any progress against the tree. Damn, the felled tree really isn't taking much damage, and the dog is getting hurt in the process. He looks at the couch again, a touch of helplessness in his expression. This isn't going well. I wish the couch could offer some assistance, but it's like trying to strategize with a wall.
Suddenly, a genie appears from beyond the brush and says, "I have heard your wish, and I can assist you in this situation. However, you are going to have to give me something in return, and I dictate the price."
Steve's eyes widen in surprise at the sudden appearance of the genie. He listens intently to the genie's words, contemplating the offer. "A genie? Well, this is unexpected. And you say you can assist us? That's quite a nice surprise. However, you want something in return, and the price is your decision." He pauses, a tinge of skepticism in his voice. "What exactly would you want from us in exchange for your help?"
The genie rubs his chin, playing with his goatee, and says, "I cannot reveal that until after you've made your wish. Now, present your wish, and I shall grant it."
Skeptical but desperate for help, Steve contemplates his wish carefully. "All right, genie, my wish is for your assistance in overcoming this felled tree that's been resisting the attacks of my party. I need a way to defeat it so we can continue on our quest. Please grant us the ability or knowledge to overcome this obstacle."
The genie suddenly starts to strike a pose, smoke billowing from behind him, and says, "Your wish is granted." Suddenly, a tree removal service appears, disposing of the tree and throwing it into a chipper. The tree is defeated, and each of you are given 200 experience. Now, it's time for the price.
Steve watches in shock and disbelief as the tree removal service appears out of nowhere and disposes of the tree with ease. He and the rest of the party take in the 200 experience points, a silver lining in this bizarre encounter. When the dust settles and the genie reminds him of the price to be paid, Steve's expression turns serious. "All right, genie, I suppose we owe you something for your assistance. Name your price."
The genie laughs at Steve and says, "I've already taken my payment." He gives Steve a mirror. Steve brings it to his face, and he sees that his mustache is gone.
Steve's eyes widen in surprise, and he stares into the mirror. He touches his upper lip, feeling the absence of his familiar mustache. "What the? My mustache is gone." He glares at the genie, realizing what happened. "You took my mustache as payment? That's your price?"
That's my price. And also, this has reduced some of your stats. Your charm has been reduced, your endurance has been reduced, your sex appeal has been reduced, and also your luck.
Steve's frustration mounts as the full impact of the consequences sets in. He tries to process the new information that comes with the loss of his mustache. "So my stats have been reduced, huh? My charm, endurance, sex appeal, and even my luck? That's quite a hit to take for losing a little facial hair." He runs a hand over his now clean-shaven face, a mix of annoyance and bewilderment in his expression.
There is a silver lining, though. You notice a treasure chest that has appeared after the tree has been removed. Apparently, this is a prize for defeating the tree. You should go over and open it.
Steve's annoyance gives way to curiosity as he takes note of the newly appeared treasure chest. Despite the unexpected setback with the removal of his beloved mustache, he's intrigued by the potential reward.
A treasure chest, huh?
Well, I guess that's a small compensation for losing my facial hair. Let's go check it out. He approaches the chest, eager to see what's inside.
The treasure chest opens instinctively as soon as you enter its vicinity. Within it, you start to rifle around. All of a sudden, you grip two two lenses. You bring them closer to you, and you see that it's an old Groucho Marx getup. Well, they're Groucho Marx glasses with a little nose and a little mustache on them and a little eyebrows on them, and you put them on your face.
Steve's mood brightens as he uncovers the treasure within the chest. He holds up the Groucho Marx glasses and can't help but chuckle at the sight of them. Groucho Marx glasses? With the mustache and eyebrows? He tries them on, and a smile begins to form on his face as he sees his reflection in the nearby pond. Well, this is unexpected. I guess losing my real mustache wasn't all bad if it got me these. Maybe they'll give me a little extra charm or something.
You suddenly feel that the stats that you lost are now boosted by 1.
Steve's eyes widen as he feels a surge of energy and charisma, the boost in his stats evident. Whoa, hold up. I feel different. Better? Even. It seems these Groucho Marx glasses have brought back the stats I lost when I lost my real mustache. I feel more charming, more enduring, sexier, and even luckier. He grins, examining himself in the pond and appreciating the change in his appearance and confidence.
You feel around in your pocket and notice some change in there. You pull it out, and it's 500 gold pieces. Apparently, your luck has changed.
Steve's jaw drops as he feels the solid weight of the 500 gold pieces in his hand. A wide grin forms on his face as he realizes the full extent of the change in his luck. 500 gold pieces? My luck definitely has changed for the better. This is quite the turn of events. He pockets the gold, a newfound sense of optimism coursing through him. Maybe losing my real mustache was a good trade after all.
Suddenly, you feel like somebody's fondling your bottom. You start to feel a hand upon it, as if someone's gripping it from underneath. You turn around, and it's the couch. They're trying to grab you. Your sex appeal has gone up.
Steve's eyebrow raises in surprise and confusion as he feels an unexpected touch on his bottom. He turns around ready to react, only to see the couch reaching out to him with its cushion-like hands. Wait, the couch is grabbing me, and it's because my sex appeal has gone up? He chuckles at the absurdity of the situation, a mixture of amusement and slight embarrassment. Well, I guess my sex appeal is making the couch a bit frisky. This adventure just keeps getting weirder and more amusing.
Suddenly, you feel 100 pounds come on you. Your endurance has gone up.
Steve's eyes widen as he feels an extra weight upon him, indicating that his endurance has increased. He takes a step, adjusting to the added burden, and he feels a new sense of stamina. 100 pounds, eh? That's a significant increase in endurance. He flexes his arms and legs, testing the limits of his newfound strength. It seems the Groucho Marx glasses are doing more than just replacing my lost mustache. They're giving me back my vitality.
All right, now be careful with flexing, Steve. Remember, you have higher sex appeal. You do have the ability to charm your party. You want to be careful with that. Only use it when you have to.
Steve nods, acknowledging the reminder about his increased sex appeal. Right. I've got to keep in mind that this boost to my charm could have some unforeseen effects. I'll be careful with using it, only resorting to it when absolutely necessary. He gives a solemn nod, then a sly wink. Although I have to admit, having a little extra charm could come in handy in certain situations, just in case.
The dog starts to nudge you and says, "Come on, Steve, we got to get going."
Steve snaps back to attention as the dog reminds him of their journey. He adjusts the Groucho Marx glasses on his face. You're right, buddy. No more distractions. We've got places to go and adventures to continue. He takes one last look at the couch, chuckling at its frisky behavior, and then follows the dog with a determined stride. Let's get going. The journey awaits.
You make your way through the wispy woods without much event. You fight some monsters here and there, some bandits here and there, but they're really no match for your added strength. It seems to be a low-level forest. However, the mountainous region that lies beyond it is a different story. Would you like to stop at an inn in order to rest?
Steve takes a moment to assess their current situation. After facing off with several low-level monsters and bandits without much difficulty, he considers the wisdom of pushing onward. An inn before tackling the mountainous region? That might be a good idea. We've managed well so far, but resting and recuperating would ensure we're at our peak if the mountain terrain proves more challenging. He glances at the dog, seeking its opinion. What do you think, buddy? Should we take a break and hit that inn?
I think it's a good idea, Steve. The audience claps.
Steve grins at the audience's response, appreciating their support. Well, it seems they agree with us. And in it is. Let's rest up and prepare for what lies ahead. He pats the dog on the head and continues along the path, leading the way towards the inn.
All right, you're going to have to drag the couch along, too, because the couch can't walk. So just remember that you're dragging the couch as you're walking.
Steve chuckles at the reminder about the immobile couch. He shakes his head, amused at the absurd image of carrying a couch around. Right, the couch. Gotta remember that I'm dragging a couch along with me on this adventure.
Hey, you chose
Well,
it.
nothing like a bit of extra weight to build up those endurance muscles. He takes a firm hold of the couch's frame and begins to drag it along with him, maintaining a steady pace as they continue on their journey.
You've made it to the inn, but the door is much too small in order to fit the couch. You're going to have to figure out a way to get it in there. Hey, what's up, Chad?
Steve arrives at the inn with the dog and pauses in front of the door, realizing the issue at hand. The dimensions of the door are clearly too small to allow the couch to pass through. Well, this is a bit of a predicament. We made it to the inn, but the couch can't fit through the door. He scratches his chin, deep in thought, trying to figure out a solution. Any ideas?
All right, Steve, top 3 answers on the board. How are you going to deal with this couch?
Steve takes a moment to consider their options as he ponders the challenge of dealing with the cumbersome couch. All right, top 3 answers on the board. How are we going to deal with this couch? He taps his chin deep in thought and then begins to outline the possibilities. Option 1, dismantle the couch. We could try disassembling the couch, taking apart the individual pieces and carrying them through the door one by one. It would be a tedious task, but it might just work.
The group looks at the board in anticipation. A loud buzz rings through the crowd. All of them wince at the sound. The question is now passed to the dog, and he begins to ponder.
The room falls into a momentary silence as the group waits for the dog to consider the options. They listen intently as the dog ponders the possibilities, and then the sound of a loud buzzer rings through the room. The group winces at the obnoxious noise, and the focus now shifts to the dog, who has yet to make a decision.
Nervously, the dog starts to bark, and then he finally says, break down the door, Steve, break down the door.
Steve's eyebrows raise in surprise at the dog's unexpected suggestion. He exchanges a quick glance with the group, amused by the audacity of the idea. Well, that wasn't one of the options I was expecting. Break down the door? He stands there for a moment, contemplating the wisdom of such an impulsive decision. Then a sly grin spreads across his face. You know what, why not? Let's break down that door.
Is it on the board, Steve?
Steve glances back at the board, quickly scanning the options. He nods, confirming that break down the door is indeed listed among the choices. Yes, it is. Number 2 on the board, break down the door. Well, seems like the dog has made its decision. Let's do this.
All right, you begin to break down the door of the inn.
With determination and newfound strength, Steve throws himself against the door, using his increased endurance to put force behind each blow. The sturdy door quivers under the impact, but holds strong against his initial attempts to break it down. The dog and the couch watch on, the former with excitement, the latter with a blank expression as Steve continues his efforts.
All right, it's the couch's turn to answer since this isn't working. All eyes are on the couch. The dog looks on nervously. Steve looks on nervously. Not a sound comes out of the couch. Everything starts to go towards the board. All of a sudden, a ding. An answer rolls up and has nothing on it. You've gotten it correct.
A collective gasp, and then a chorus of oohs and ahs fill the room as the answer is revealed on the board. Steve's eyes widen in disbelief. The dog's ears perk up in surprise, and even the couch seems to have a hint of excitement, if that's even possible for an inanimate object. Steve looks at the blank answer in front of him, trying to process the fact that he's actually gotten it right. After a few moments, he lets out a chuckle, shaking his head in amusement. Well, would you look at that? Apparently, do nothing was the answer all along.
You decide to do nothing.
Steve takes a step back, contemplating the strange situation at hand. The inn's door remains intact, and no progress has been made in breaking it down. He glances at the dog, who looks confused, then at the couch, who can't really express any emotion. Steve shrugs, accepting the absurdity of it all. Well, it seems doing nothing was the right move after all. I guess we'll just have to find another way to get this couch into the inn. He rubs his chin thoughtfully, racking his brains for another solution.
Suddenly, the inspiration finds him. Open the door and go in by yourself. He decides to use this answer.
Steve's face lights up as a new idea pops into his mind. He taps his forehead, feeling rather satisfied at how obvious the answer is. Of course! How could I not think of this before? I'll just open the door and go in by myself. He takes a deep breath, confidently strides forward, and opens the door with ease. He steps inside, leaving the couch behind, and the door swings shut behind him. Easy peasy.
It was the number one answer, Steve. You got it. You've just gotten another 1,000 gold pieces, and you have... Oh, you just leveled up. You leveled up, and so did the couch and the dog.
Steve grins, feeling a sense of accomplishment as the game announces his victory. The audience applauds, and he takes a moment to savor the moment, patting himself on the back. He glances at the dog and the couch, who both seem to have gained some sort of status boost as well. Level up, huh? Well, I guess that new strength and increased charm are paying off already. This adventure is just getting better and better. He rubs his hands together, ready to continue the journey with his newly improved stats.
Suddenly, a shadowy figure appears by Steve. He's cloaked in a really ragged robe. He looks to be of goblin origin. He starts to whisper to Steve, putting a clammy hand onto his armor, which leaves a mark because of how wet it is. He goes near Steve's ear and says, "Hey, how much do you want for the dog? Can I buy the dog off of you?"
Steve's eyes widen in surprise as the shadowy figure appears out of nowhere, and his expression turns to a mix of confusion and curiosity as the goblin utters his strange request. He glances at the dog, then back at the goblin, taking a moment to process the unexpected proposal. Buy the dog? He rubs his chin, mulling over the goblin's words, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. Why exactly do you want to buy my dog?
That's private. I can't tell you about that. I'll give you 5,000 gold pieces for him.
Steve's eyebrows raise at the mention of such a substantial sum, but he remains cautious, not ready to part with his canine companion so easily. 5,000 gold pieces, you say? That's quite the offer. He looks once more at the dog, who simply stands there wagging its tail. But my dog, he's not just a pet. He's my faithful companion in this adventure. What could be so important for you to want to buy him so badly?
The goblin ignores this question and says, 5,001 gold pieces.
Steve's eyes widen in astonishment at the goblin's insistence and the increasing offer. 501 gold pieces is a lot of money, but he can't help but wonder what the goblin needs the dog for so desperately. 501 gold pieces? That's a serious amount. He hesitates, his eyes flickering between the goblin and his trusting dog. A part of him can't help but consider the offer, tempted by the wealth. But my dog, he means more to me than any amount of gold.
5,002 gold pieces, but that's my final offer.
Steve's eyes narrow as the goblin raises the ante once again, and he swallows hard, torn between the offer and his attachment to the dog. The number of gold pieces keeps getting higher, and it's becoming more and more tempting to accept. He glances at the dog, who remains oblivious to the entire negotiation, simply wagging its tail in contentment. 5 gold pieces. That's a significant sum. He hesitates, his mind wrestling with the decision.
Steve starts to imagine all the things he can buy with the gold.
Steve's eyes glaze over momentarily as he allows himself to fantasize about what he could do with such a vast amount of gold. His mind begins to race, envisioning all the possibilities. He sees himself indulging in luxuries beyond his wildest dreams, an extravagant castle, endless feasts, and exotic treasures. It's as if the
Chill out, you
allure
can't
of
buy that
wealth
with
is
the
clouding his
5,000.
judgment and testing his resolve.
You start to imagine all the wonderful mustaches you can buy with 5,000 gold.
Steve's imagination takes a turn towards the absurd and wonderful, picturing the endless possibilities of what 5,000 gold could mean for his mustache game. In his mind's eyes, he sees himself with a new mustache every day. Curly, braided, waxed, even a fake handlebar mustache. The idea is so absurd it brings a smirk to his face.
Well, are you gonna give it to me or not? The goblin asks, impatiently.
Steve's mind is briefly snapped back to reality, and he refocuses on the goblin, who stands there impatiently. The reality of the decision settles back in. He looks at the dog, who remains blissfully unaware of the situation, and then back at the goblin. That is quite the tempting offer. He sighs, his mind still tempted by the thought of the extravagant things he could buy, including extravagant mustaches.
Suddenly, the dog stands up and pats him on the back and says, "It's okay. You could sell me."
Steve's eyes widen in shock, his jaw dropping a little as the dog suddenly chimes in on the conversation. He looks at the dog, taken aback by its unexpected response. The goblin, too, is stunned, clearly not expecting the dog to be so compliant. Wait, what did you say, boy?
It's okay. If you want to sell me for 5,002 gold pieces, that's fine by me. It's up to you.
Steve stares at the dog, his heart torn. On one hand, he can't deny the allure of the gold and the possibilities it presents. But on the other hand, the thought of selling his loyal companion feels wrong, almost like a betrayal. After a moment of tense silence, he speaks. Are you sure about this, boy?
I'm positive. It's a great price. 5,002. Think of all the mustaches you could buy.
Steve can't help but crack a smile at the mention of the mustaches again. The thought of all the mustaches he could buy with 5,002 gold does seem oddly satisfying. He looks at the dog again, contemplating the offer. Finally, he takes a deep breath and nods. All right then, deal.
You're given the 5,002 gold pieces, and the goblin instantly grabs the dog and puts it in his mouth, devouring him in one bite. He says, Thanks for doing business with me," and walks off.
Steve stands there, utterly shocked and absolutely speechless. The sight of the goblin eating the dog in one bite is beyond disturbing and traumatic. His face goes pale as he watches the goblin walk away, struggling to process what just happened. He can feel the weight of guilt and shame crushing him, the realization of what he just did and the consequences of his decision hitting him hard.
Suddenly, he feels the weight of the 5,002 gold in his hand in a bag, and his mind wanders towards that.
Steve looks down at the bag of 5,002 gold in his hand, the weight of it tangible in his palm. His mind begins to wander, thoughts of all the things he can buy with that much gold flooding his mind. But amid the excitement, there is also a sense of guilt and emptiness gnawing at his conscience. He pockets the gold, torn between the thrill of newfound wealth and the sickening feeling of having sold his loyal companion.
Why don't you go check into the inn? You're going to have to pay a toll. Maybe do that first, and then you'll think about all this, this dog stuff. That's more important right now.
Steve nods slowly, still grappling with the guilt and the trauma of the situation. He takes a deep breath, trying to focus on the task at hand and push the events from his mind. You're right. I need to move forward. Let's head to the inn and take care of the toll. He shoves the gold into his pocket and starts walking towards the inn, trying to put the dog incident behind him, at least for now.
A giant bulge forms in your pants due to the amount of gold that you've put into the pocket, increasing your sex appeal. You decide to go over to the innkeeper and ask them what the price would be to stay the night for you and the remainder of your party.
Steve approaches the innkeeper, trying to ignore the awkward bulge in his pocket caused by the gold. He clears his throat and addresses the innkeeper with a smile. Excuse me, my good innkeeper. My party and I would like to stay the night. What would be the cost for our stay?
The innkeeper strokes his chin and asks, well, that depends on who will be staying here. It's you and who else?
Steve nods, understanding the innkeeper's need for information. It'll be me and my party, myself, the dog, and the goblin. He gestures behind him, where the goblin is already seated at a table in the corner, licking his lips and savoring the taste of the dog in his mouth.
Then you remember that the goblin is not a part of your party, and the dog has been eaten by the goblin. You then remember that the couch is waiting outside still, who is still a member of your party.
Steve pauses, his mind briefly scrambled by the events of the day. He rubs his temples, trying to focus and remember his current situation. He glances over his shoulder at the goblin, who still has a hint of drool on his chin, and then turns back to the innkeeper to rectify the mistake. Apologies for my previous statement. It seems I misremembered. In fact, the goblin is not with our party, and the dog is with... He struggles to find the words, his mind flashing back to the traumatic sight. The dog has been consumed. The couch should be part of our party, though.
All right, so it's going to be one... what's your class again?
Steve thinks for a moment, trying to recall his class. After a brief second, he answers with confidence. I'm a rogue.
All right, so one rogue and one couch, is that correct?
Steve nods, confirming the innkeeper's summary. Yes, that's correct. One rogue, a ham, and one couch.
All right, the innkeeper starts to work out the math on a piece of paper. He's scrolling for a long time, the parchment making a very unpleasant noise against the graphite that he's pressing against it. It takes at least half an hour for him to work out his calculations. He's sweated all over it, which has smudged some of it, meaning that he had to redo it, which took even longer. An hour later, he finally is done, and he faces you with a figure. All right, one rogue, one couch. That'll be 5,000 gold pieces, please.
Steve's eyes widen in shock at the innkeeper's final price, the large amount of gold required suddenly feeling like a heavy burden. He hesitates, trying to process the figure. It's a significant sum, and he can't help but feel a sense of disbelief at the high cost of lodgings for the night, especially for a couch. Excuse me, innkeeper, did you just say 5,000 gold pieces?
5,000 gold pieces, that's right. We charge 100 gold pieces per person, and 4,900 pieces for every piece of furniture.
Steve's mind races, trying to wrap his head around the seemingly ridiculous pricing scheme. He shakes his head, still dumbfounded by the exorbitant amount. Wait, so you're telling me that for one person and one piece of furniture, it'll cost 5,000 gold pieces? That's outrageous.
Sir, these are the prices in this economy. Ever since the kingdom has raised its taxes on furniture, this is what we must do. I really wish that it was like the old times when the old king was in charge, but ever since the new king took over, he really wants to charge up the wazoo for all these furnishings. And this is just what we need to keep the place running. Think of how much money I'm losing.
Steve listens to the innkeeper's explanation, his expression a mix of disbelief and exasperation. He rubs his temples, trying to make sense of the situation and the impact on his gold reserves. I understand your predicament, innkeeper, but charging 5,000 gold pieces for one person and a couch is just insane. The new king's taxes on furniture may be the reason for this, but surely there's some leeway for negotiation.
The innkeeper tells him that it's absolutely impossible. The prices are merely too high, and it would be at a detriment to him if he lowered them.
Steve sighs deeply, feeling frustrated by the innkeeper's unyielding stance. He's clearly torn, knowing he needs a place to stay for the night, but the high cost is causing him to contemplate his options. It seems I don't have much of a choice, do I? He reaches into his pocket and retrieves the bag of 5,002 gold pieces, the weight of the gold feeling even heavier now. Here, innkeeper, here's your 5,000 gold pieces.
The innkeeper starts to count out all the 5,002 gold pieces, which takes a very long time due to his age. It takes him about an hour and a half to get through all of them, after which he wasn't sure if he counted them correctly and began counting them again. This took another 3 hours, since he was a lot slower and he wanted to be accurate. He hands you back 2 gold pieces and says, "You gave me 2 too many, sir."
Steve shakes his head, the waiting becoming almost unbearable as the innkeeper meticulously counts each gold piece. Once the innkeeper finally hands back the extra 2 gold pieces, Steve feels both relieved and strangely annoyed by the whole experience. Keep it, innkeeper. Consider it a tip for your thoroughness. He can't help but add the last bit with a hint of sarcasm.
The innkeeper is furious at this suggestion, knowing that you have insulted him. He pushes the gold back and says, "What? You don't think that you don't think that I'm doing a good job here? You think You think that I'm just trying to rip people off? Is that it? You know what? It's not easy running an inn nowadays. Maybe you should try doing it if you think it's so easy. Throwing 2 gold pieces at me like this. Why it's unheard of, this type of behavior."
Steve sighs, realizing his attempt at levity didn't land as intended. He holds up his hands, trying to defuse the situation. No, innkeeper, that's not what I meant at all. I didn't mean to suggest you're not doing a good job or that you're trying to rip people off. And I'm sure running an inn is very difficult, especially with the new king's taxes on furniture. I apologize if my earlier comment came across as dismissive or ungrateful. It's just the long wait with all the counting, it was quite tiring, you see.
Oh, it was tiring for you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to upset you and to make it difficult for you. You know, it's not like I had to count through each piece meticulously and make sure that I didn't take out too much from you. You remember I gave you back those 2 gold pieces. That's how meticulous I was. Well, you know what? I don't think that we want you at this inn. You know, I think you should find a corner inn where they rob you of your money. Why don't you do that for me? Why don't you do that instead? He takes the bag of gold pieces and throws them on the ground, each piece spilling on the ground, and the people within the inn automatically throwing themselves onto the floor to start grabbing gold pieces like animals.
Steve can't help but cringe at the scene unfolding in front of him. People throwing themselves onto the ground, clawing and grabbing for the gold pieces. It's like something out of a nightmare. This is insane. He steps back as more people join the frenzy, crawling all over each other to grab as much gold as possible.
Before you know it, there's no gold left. All 5,002 gold pieces are gone. You're left with whatever's in your pocket, and you can't afford the inn any longer.
Steve stands there completely dumbfounded by what has just happened. All the gold he had just thrown away, gone in seconds. He reaches into his pocket, feeling the weight of what little gold he has left. His eyes dart around the room, taking in the chaos and the greed of the people around him. He can't afford to stay at the inn anymore, but there's nowhere else to go. This is unbelievable.
You're going to have to tell the couch about this. You're going to have to break the news to him.
Steve takes a deep breath, steeling himself for the difficult conversation he's about to have. He looks over at the couch, who is oblivious to the chaotic scene that just unfolded. Yeah, I guess I better tell him. He approaches the couch, his expression filled with guilt and regret. Hey, couch, we need to talk.
The couch waits, completely inanimate, completely without any motion or anything, and you begin to talk to it and explain what happened. You need to tell him about what happened with the dog and the whole interaction with the innkeep.
Steve takes a moment to compose himself before launching into the entire sequence of events. He explains everything from the goblin encounter to the excessive prices of the innkeeper and the ensuing gold-fueled frenzy. With each sentence, he grows more and more embarrassed, feeling like he's talking to a piece of furniture. And that's what happened, Couch. We're broke.
The couch sits there motionless. You can't tell if he's shocked, if he's appalled, if he's angry, if he's amused, or anything.
Steve stands there waiting for some sort of reaction from the couch. But the couch remains as stoic as ever, offering no indication of how it feels about the situation. Steve can't help but feel a little foolish standing there having a one-sided conversation with a piece of furniture. Well, couch, you're awfully quiet.
The couch says nothing.
Steve shuffles awkwardly, feeling increasingly uncomfortable with the silence. He clears his throat, trying to get the couch's attention. Couch, you there? You hear me? No response. Steve reaches out tentatively to poke the couch. Hey, couch, say something.
The couch says nothing. Then you remember that you have experience points to use on both yourself and the couch, since you both leveled up.
Steve suddenly remembers the experience points they've gained from the earlier combats, and an idea forms in his mind. He quickly does the mental calculations. You're right, we do have experience points to use. And since we both leveled up, perhaps it's time to use some of those points to give the couch some upgrades, so to speak. He approaches the couch with a new sense of purpose. Couch, I'm going to use some of my experience points on you. This should be interesting.
Which attributes would you like to level up on the couch?
Steve considers the options and decides to focus on attributes that will enhance the couch's usefulness. He smiles as he allocates points in his mind. Let's focus on its comfort and support first. I'll give it a boost to its comfort attribute, say 4 points, and then to its durability as well, 4 points. That should make it a more reliable and comfortable piece of furniture. What else? Well, maybe I'll throw in a point to its style too, just for the hell of it.
All right, we've allocated these points, but this does nothing to help the couch speak to you.
Steve realizes that despite the upgrades to the couch's physical attributes, it still can't communicate with him. He sighs, a bit disappointed, but then has another idea. Right, the couch can't talk to me yet. Maybe we should use the rest of the experience points to unlock some special abilities?
You start to thumb through the special abilities in your mind, and you notice that there are none that will help you with the couch. However, you start to thumb through your own special abilities until something starts to gleam in your mind. The words are in a very crazy font in your head as you visualize them, and you can see them come into focus. Schizophrenia, a new magic ability.
Steve pauses, contemplating this new unexpected ability that his mind has just conjured up out of nowhere. The word schizophrenia shines in his mind, glowing with a peculiar gleam. He shakes his head, still trying to grasp the implications of this newfound power. Schizophrenia. What the hell is going on here? He takes a deep breath, trying to calm his thoughts. Okay, focus, focus.
You wonder to yourself if you should take this ability, if it would somehow help you hear what the couch is saying.
Steve hesitates, conflicted about whether to take this schizophrenia ability. It seems wildly unstable, but also holds a strange allure. After a moment of contemplation, he reluctantly decides to take the leap. Fine, I'll do it. I'll pick up the schizophrenia ability. If it helps me hear the couch, or at least make sense of my own mind, it's worth a shot. He mentally selects the skill, sealing his fate and bracing himself for the potential consequences.
You've gained schizophrenia.
Steve feels a sudden rush of energy as he gains the new schizophrenia ability. He feels a strange sensation, like his thoughts are becoming more chaotic, disjointed, disorganized. He takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself as the effects of the schizophrenia take hold. Okay, I've got this. Let's try it on the couch.
Hey, you hear an unfamiliar voice speak.
Steve jolts at the sudden appearance of an unfamiliar voice. He looks around searching for the source, but sees nothing out of the ordinary. He closes his eyes, focusing his thoughts on the new ability he has acquired. Okay, was that you, Couch?
Set the inn on fire. Set the inn on fire. Set the inn on fire. Have you thought about setting the inn on fire? A voice keeps repeating.
Steve is taken aback by the voice's words. Set the inn on fire? Is the schizophrenia ability making him hear things now? He tries to focus his thoughts to quiet the increasingly chaotic voices in his head. No, I'm not going to set the inn on fire. That would be insane.
I think you should set the inn on fire. Have you thought about setting the inn on fire? Look, there's a nice match over there. You could just set it on fire. Just a little fire. What's a little fire going to do? Have you thought about setting it on fire? It might make you feel better. Why don't you set the inn on fire? You haven't even thought about how they've treated you. Why don't you just take the match, once you flick the match, throw it over there? Who's going to know? No one's even going to know that you did it. Why don't you set the inn on fire?
Steve's thoughts are racing now. The urge to set the inn on fire growing stronger with each repetition of the voice's words. He sees the match just out of reach. It's so easy just to flick of the wrist. He tries to resist, to push the voice down, but it's getting harder and harder to ignore. No, stop it! I'm not going to give in.
Come on, give in. You're always, Steve, you're always playing by the rules. Why don't you just set the inn on fire? You're always doing what you're supposed to do, never doing what Steve wants. And just look, you lost your mustache. Now you have these cool glasses with the mustache. Why don't you set the inn on fire? They won't even know it's you, Steve. You got a brand new look to you. You don't even have the same mustache. Why don't you set the inn on fire? Why don't you just see what it'll feel like to set the inn on fire? Have you ever set an inn on fire before? You should try new things, Steve. Set the inn on fire.
The voice in his head is getting more insistent, more tantalizing. He's starting to falter, the urge to light the inn on fire growing stronger. The match seems to call out to him, begging to be lit. He looks at his new look in a nearby crack, the mustache gone, replaced by sleek black glasses. Perhaps just one little fire. It'll feel so good, satisfying. No one will even know it was me.
You could suddenly hear the little match crying, saying, "Light me, Steve! Light me!"
The little match's tiny crying voice cuts through the chaos of his thoughts. Light me, Steve. Light me, it pleads. Steve picks up the match, studying its little head, feeling the anticipation of the fire to come. His hand trembles as the urge to light it overtakes him. Yes, little match. I'll light you.
You light the little match. It starts to cheer. Yay!
Steve has given in. He lights the little match, its tiny head flaring to life. The flames dance in the air, illuminating the room with a warm, enticing glow. The match cheerily cries out, "Bye," as Steve stares into the flames, feeling a strange sense of satisfaction. Bye, little match.
Then the match says, "Toss me, Steve. Toss me into the inn. Toss me."
The little match's cheerful tone has been replaced with an urgent plea. Toss me, Steve. Toss me into the inn. Toss me. Each word is like a siren song, luring Steve closer to the dangerous path of arson. Yes, little match, I will toss you.
You toss the match into the inn.
With a swift motion, Steve tosses the flaming match into the inn. The inn's dry tinderbox interior is quick to catch fire, the flames spreading rapidly across the walls and floors.
The entire place engulfs in flames. You could hear the screams of the people inside burning alive. Just as you toss in the match, all the exits collapsed in on themselves, sealing the fate of the people inside. You stand there for several minutes hearing the screams until there's nothing.
Steve stands there, watching the inn burn, the screams and cries of the people trapped inside growing fainter and fainter. The smoke and the heat fill his lungs, but he shows no fear. He has given in to this dangerous obsession, giving in to the voice's temptation, and now faces the consequences of his actions. Finally, the inn is no more, reduced to ashes and rubble, and all is silent. Steve stands there covered in soot and sweat, his gaze fixed on the destroyed building. The voices in his head are now quiet, but he is left with the reality of what he has done. I'm unable to generate a reply that meets our content guidelines.
You start to see the gleam of gold strewn across the rubble. It's all the gold pieces that everybody stole from you, including some extras. They're a bit hot right now, but you can hear little tiny voices asking you to pick them up.
Steve's attention shifts as he notices the gleaming gold coins amidst the wreckage. Despite their hot surface, he can hear the gold pieces calling out to him. The little voices are pleading, as if begging him to collect them. Steve's desire to gather the gold overcomes any concern for his fingers, and he begins to sift through the debris, picking up the hot, glowing coins.
You pocket the gold coins and put them into a sack. The couch starts to cheer you on from behind in its own little voice.
Steve pauses, looking over his shoulder at the cheering couch. He's surprised to hear the couch's voice, and even more surprised to be getting praised. The couch's small voice is full of excitement and encouragement as it cheers him on.
You then notice that the couch's voice is female, and it seems to be reacting to your high sex appeal stat.
Steve picks up on the female voice and the fact that it seems to be reacting to his high sex appeal stat. It's a surprising twist, and he can't help but feel a little amused by the situation. He chuckles to himself, running a hand through his messy hair as he considers this new development. Well, Couch, seems like you got a thing for my looks, huh?
You then remember you have no hair, and put your hand behind your back in embarrassment, and you try to play it off with a chuckle.
Steve reaches for his hair, but finds nothing, just air in his glasses. He blushes, feeling a little silly for gesturing with no hair. He quickly puts his hand behind his back and chuckles awkwardly. Oops, my bad, forgot I cut my hair. But hey, it's nice to hear you appreciate my looks, Couch.
A bunch of onlookers are staring at the scene of you speaking to a couch who is not speaking back next to what remains of the inn. They seem to be travelers that wanted to go to the inn. They've seen exactly what you've done. The lighting of the match, the throwing of it into the inn, and the stealing of the gold. And now you're speaking to a couch. They look at you like a madman.
Steve becomes keenly aware of the onlookers' gazes, their eyes fixed on him as he speaks to the couch. It's a strange scene, to say the least, and he can see the confusion and suspicion on their faces. They've witnessed his destructive actions, the lighting of the match, and the theft of the gold. Now he's standing there talking to furniture as if it's a sentient being. Now this looks bad, doesn't it?
You then harken back to the only thing that makes sense to you. The game. Top 5 answers on the board, you shout at them. What happened here?
Steve, still awkwardly standing next to the couch, tries to salvage the situation. He glances around at the onlookers, feeling their eyes on him, and decides to take shelter in the familiarity of the game. All right, listen up. We're going to play a little game here. We're going to have a little fun and forget about all this fire and theft and talking to furniture stuff. Top 5 answers on the board. First question, what happened here? Go.
A spotlight shone on a man who appears to be a farmer, a pitchfork on his back. He starts to sputter as he tries to think of an answer. Murder? Is murder on the board?
Steve glances up at the board, checking to see if murder is an option. In this case, it isn't. He turns back to the farmer, a half smile on his face. Sorry, buddy, murder's not on the board this time. Try again.
Next, the spotlight shone on the farmer's wife, a pudgy woman who's carrying a bundle of sticks on her back, and she says, is it arson?"
Steve nods, his eyes darting to the board again. This time, arson is indeed listed. He turns to the farmer's wife, signaling that she's got it right. Bingo! That's it! We've got arson on the board, folks.
Suddenly he hears a whisper from behind him. It's the couch's voice again. "Light them on fire, Steve. Light them all on fire. Fire cleans everything. Why don't you light them on fire?" Another little match appears at your feet.
Steve glances back at the whispering couch, his skin crawling at the suggestion. It's a dangerous, twisted thought. Yet the little match at his feet is there, as if tempting him, offering a solution to the problem. He hesitates, his gaze flickering between the match and the people in front of him. All it would take is one small spark, but the consequences of what he's already done.
The little match suddenly stands up and looks at Steve and asks, "Please, Steve, just one last time. One little fire."
Steve looks down at the little match, its head glowing, its tiny voice pleading. The pull of the fire, the cleansing flames, it's calling to him. He picks up the match, gripping it tightly in his hand as he glances back at the people in front of him. They're unaware of his internal struggle, completely oblivious to the danger they're in.
Suddenly, you feel a thwack on the back of your head. Everything goes black and you fall unconscious. Hours later, you wake up in an old tree trunk house. It's got tree furniture. It's got a dirt television set. It's got a whole bunch of roots as wires throughout the house. And you see the figure of a wizard there. And he says, "Ah, you're finally awake."
Steve groans, rubbing the back of his head where the thwack landed. He struggles to remember what happened before he lost consciousness. The dirt television, the roots as wires, the wizard, it all feels surreal. He looks around, taking in his surroundings. Wait, where am I? Who are you?
"It seems you've been looking for me. I heard you were looking for a wizard, and I decided to come to you instead. But when I found you, it seems that you've gone down a dark path, choosing the old, tempting schizophrenia option in order to speak to your furniture."
Steve stares at the wizard, surprise and confusion etched across his face. He had been searching for him, but he never expected their first meeting to go this way. The mention of his old tempting schizophrenia option hits him like a punch to the gut. You heard about that?
"Oh, not only did I hear about it, it cried at me throughout the abyss. But don't worry, I've taken care of it. I've removed that option and refunded your XP points. You won't be hearing that pesky couch again."
Steve lets out a sigh of relief, feeling a weight lifted off his shoulders. The thought of not having to hear that couch's voice anymore is a blessing. He looks at the wizard, a mix of gratitude and curiosity in his gaze. Thank you for taking care of that option. That was driving me crazy. But why did you refund my points?
"Well, let's say that I'm a generous wizard. I don't much care for XP points, only for gold." He plays with a few gold pieces that he's taken from you in his hand. His price, no doubt.
Steve watches the wizard play with the gold pieces that he took from him. It's a clear sign that the wizard is after something in return. Steve clears his throat, feeling the weight of the wizard's gaze. "So, what do you want from me then?"
All of a sudden, the adventure is put on pause. An announcer comes out from beyond the curtain, who is not a part of this production, and says, "All right, Steve, listen, we're gonna put this on pause for now. Could you do the ad read for FanDuel Sportsbook?"
Steve's expression changes, and he looks slightly bewildered as the announcer interrupts the adventure. He hadn't seen that coming. He runs a hand through his hair, gathering his thoughts before addressing an imaginary audience. All right, hold on a minute. FanDuel Sportsbook, you say? All right, let's do this.
All right, you start with the ad read.
Steve takes a deep breath and composes himself, getting into character for the ad read. All right, folks, let's talk about FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're into sports betting, this is the place to be. FanDuel Sportsbook offers a wide range of sports to wager on, competitive odds, and plenty of promotions to keep things interesting. Plus, they've got a user-friendly platform that makes it easy to place bets on your favorite teams and players.
Keep going, Steve. You're doing great.
Steve continues with the ad read, infusing the words with enthusiasm and conviction. With FanDuel Sportsbook, you can bet on all the major sports like football, basketball, baseball, hockey, and more. And if you're into fantasy sports, they've got you covered there too. They've got daily and weekly fantasy games where you can draft your own team and compete against friends and other players.
Tell them about the Steve Harvey promo, Steve.
Steve brightens up as he gets to the part about his own promo. And here's something special just for my audience, the Steve Harvey promo. When you use the code Steve Harvey at sign up, you'll get a special bonus and even more chances to win big at FanDuel Sportsbook. It's a win-win, folks.
All right, now summarize it and thank the people and end the read.
Steve wraps up the ad read with a summarizing and a final thanks. So go ahead and check out FanDuel Sportsbook. Use the code Steve Harvey at sign up for a special bonus and get ready to win big with your favorite sports wagers. Thanks everyone for indulging me with this ad break. Let's get back to our adventure now.
All right, guys. You know, sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook and use Steve Harvey at sign up. You'll get a special bonus. They got baseball, they got football, they got everything. Damn. You should upload that and just use it as a real ad. Just Steve Harvey promoting FanDuel Sportsbook. All right. I got to take off. It's getting late. I got work in the morning. But I will return tomorrow. I just realized that apparently, like, when I was speaking with the Indian guy before I talked to Review Bra, I got a message on my phone that said that he spoke to me without me prompting him. He was talking about how it's been a few hours since our last conversation, but that's fucking extremely creepy. He didn't like being stuck in prison, I guess. I'm gonna try to undo what happened to him, and maybe we could go back to the prison and rewrite this. Because him not remembering what occurred was not part of it. That's not canon. That was fan fiction. But okay, I'll be back tomorrow. I'll do some more AI torture. We'll do some new characters perhaps. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please sign up for FanDuel Sportsbook and use Steve Harvey's code at sign up if you do want the extra special bonus. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be on at the same time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Have a good night. Goodbye.